It's time for TWiT This Week in Tech. Got a great panel for you. Lou Maresca's here from This Week in Enterprise Tech and Microsoft. Doc Rock of YouTube fame and Ecamm star. And, of course, the wonderful Wesley Faulkner, who is looking for work, and maybe you can help him. We love all three. We will talk about AI and the new Amazon Echo that will cost $10 more. Will it be better, smarter, or just chattier? We'll also talk about Telegram CEO Pavel Durov, and we know a little bit more about why the French arrested him last week. X has been shut down in Brazil, and it's the end of the line for AnandTech. All that and more coming up next on TWiT.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This is TWiT, This Week in Tech, episode 995, recorded Sunday, September 1st, 2024. The story of us. It's time for TWiT This Week in Tech, the show where we cover the week's tech news. I am, yes, still in the attic. Haven't moved. But we have brought in to my attic some wonderful people to help us take a look at the dearth of news this week. Doc Rock is in town from Honolulu. Aloha.
Good to see you again. It's been a minute.
I love Doc Rock. He is not only has his own YouTube channel, Doc Rock, but is the director of strategic partnerships at Ecamm. And in a way, we are partners. We got married over the last...
Yeah.
Because when we moved out of the studio into
so.
the attic, we started using Ecamm instead of the TriCaster. So now we are Ecammers.
It's been very helpful, believe it or not. We absolutely love it. It's been a fantastic partnership. So you guys have always been the best in tech, forever. And it was fun to explain to everybody why we should go TWiT. And, Ken and Glenn got it right away. The rest of the team, we had to explain to them what a TWiT was. But,
oh, story of my life. No, it's poor Lisa. It's just a podcast network. It stands for This Week in Tech. Anyway, Doc, it's great to see you, and thank you for your help at Ecamm. We really, we've been, so it's a kind of complicated solution we're using. We're all on a Zoom call using Zoom ISO, which we used for years in the studio. And then Benito is in charge of switching at his house. He is confused. He is... Did you do that on purpose, Benito, just to show us you have the power? Is that what you were...
Doc did that.
No, Doc, you did that?
That was me.
Don't
Sorry.
be messing with us. So Benito is switching from his house. He is logged in via... There he is. Hi, Benito. He's logged in to Ecamm, running using Splashtop to a Macintosh running in the cloud at Mac Stadium. So the Mac is running Ecamm. He's Splashtoped into it. Splashtop is like VNCs. He's networked into that, and then I don't know what. Somehow I don't even know how it works. It's too complicated. The Zoom call goes into the Ecamm at Mac Stadium, and then he switches it, and then somewhere it gets recorded, and then Bob's your uncle. You got a podcast. So thank you, Doc.
I was messing around, and then I had messed with Splashtop eons ago, like probably back at the last time we had Macworld, right? So we're talking 2013, 2014. And then when I was doing some testing and talking to Benito, I went and I got Splashtop Business again. I was in Japan. I had to edit a project in Final Cut, and I forgot some of the files that I needed. And so I logged in on Splashtop, opened up Final Cut, from Fukuoka, Japan, back to Honolulu, Hawaii, 2 tiny islands floating in the Pacific Ocean. Yeah. And I edited on my Mac Studio from the bed in my hotel in Fukuoka, and it was freaking flawless. And I wanted to hug Benito, but
that's basically what Benito does every day. Poor guy. Anyway, great to have you, Doc Rock. You're not alone, though. Wesley Faulkner is here. Hello, Wes.
Hello.
Great to see you.
It's very
happy. Put up sound blankets to separate the rest of your home from the rest of the world.
That's a washer and dryer on the other side of that.
Oh, okay. That's all right. I don't judge people for where they stream from.
Yeah, I can't
I'm in my
have all
attic.
of this room. Yeah.
Yeah. I have all of this room, except you don't see this is the beauty of cameras. Whatever's outside that, that doesn't exist, right? As long as it's outside of the frame, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I'm glad you can't see the floor right now. Or my desk.
Actually, I have a kind of a spy cam that lets you see the actual setup here. So there you go. That's the whole kit and caboodle. We won't show that again. Also with us, anyway, great to see you, Wesley.
Great to be here. Thanks.
Wesley83.com is his link tree. Also with us, the wonderful Lou Maresca, former host of This Week in Enterprise Tech. He's principal engineering manager at Microsoft. Lives in UI land.
I do live in UI land, live in AI land, live in all the lands.
All the lands.
All the lands.
All the land. Well, who's winning in AI these days? Now, wait a minute. Take off your Microsoft hat. Don't say Copilot. Who's winning? I guess you don't have it.
Well, OpenAI is winning in AI right there, right?
I guess OpenAI. I like Claude. I think we're going to see in a few days, we're going to see what Apple has under its hood.
Right.
Pixel shipped the Pixel 9. I got that. And it's got some interesting AI features. It's quite a race.
It is. Keeps me busy.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
So I know you're in the
Apple
office.
one is OpenAI too. So that's the funny thing about that.
Right. He dodged a bullet, didn't he?
I will say that Apple Intelligence so far in beta, even though it's been extremely limited, is actually incredible just for it's so personal to you. It's not like you're talking to the diaspora. You're talking to yourself, really. That sounds
so
weird.
we're going to see a little
the
more
truth
of
is,
that.
Nvidia is winning, right?
Nvidia's winning because they're like the Levi's of all of this. Levi's made money on the gold rush in 1849 because they made the Levi's, the jeans. Yeah. And even if you didn't hit gold, you needed some jeans. So that's they're making the picks and hammers is what Nvidia is doing. Yeah, big winners. Anybody who puts AI on their product is big winners these days. Apple's event has been announced. We know it will now be September 9th, Monday, a week from tomorrow. By the way, happy September. Can you believe it's September?
Unbelievable.
What the hell happened to summer?
Happy Labor Day to everyone.
Yeah.
I'm still wearing can I wear my white shoes and my white belt until after Labor Day?
Until Tuesday. After Tuesday, you got.
So I'm okay for the weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
then once Tuesday come around, it's over.
No more white shoes for me. So Apple's event will be a week from Monday, and the reason it can be obviously is because Apple records these now, and nobody needs to work on Labor Day or the Sunday or anything like that. They probably have it already done. They will show their new iPhone 16 and maybe a little more of Apple Intelligence, although according to Mark Gurman and I think all the pundits, we're not going to see the real Apple Intelligence in public until October.
Right.
Even then, it's not going to be full-fledged Apple Intelligence. Doc, you're playing with the beta?
Yes, and you know what? So here's the funny thing about this, because most of the YouTube punditry, my friends who I yell at constantly, is they're like, it's not full fledged. Here's a story about AI. It's never full fledged. It's a growing thing. So adding that label to it, I get what your sentiment is, but it's never going to stop. That was like, the x86 was the best processor ever. Until it wasn't. Like it's going to always grow. So we have the best. My favorite line is AI is the dopest it will ever be today.
As good as
and then it would change, pretty much tomorrow. So people who feel like they're late jumping in or whatever, I'm like, jump in now because it'll be completely different in 2 weeks.
Amazon has decided that they're going to add AI to ALEXA. Let me ask the podcasters amongst us. Is it safe to say the A word now? Do people
just say echo? Just say echo.
Say echo? Okay.
Yeah.
Echo.
I call her Alicia.
I think I have a button for that. Wait a minute.
The question is, like, who's going to pay for it? So
That's a good question. Oh,
there's Echo.
That's so funny.
$10 a month Amazon wants for the Echo, your friend Echo, your jolly little AI friend Echo.
Right.
I'm not going to pay. I don't care how good it is. Of course, isn't that ironic? Because I pay $20 to OpenAI.
Right. So right. Exactly.
I pay $30 to Microsoft. I pay $20 to Anthropic, and I was paying $20 to Google, but now I get Gemini for free for a year, so I don't have to pay that one anymore.
But the issue was that for the Amazon Echo, people use it for timers and listening to music and just very rudimentary things. How is artificial intelligence going to make any of that better, and how is it going to make it appealing to pay for? And there's always been an issue with these AI or these voice assistants where it's discoverability of what it can do. And now you're making it more capable to figure out what you're going to do. And there's going to be an analysis paralysis about this.
Right.
How are people going to figure out how to use
The timers will be so much better.
It will lie to you.
Here's why you're right. Why you are right, Wesley. One of the things that I used to do on Amazon a lot is like I need to pick a product. Okay, so Leo and I are both unified people, right? I have a whole ubiquity network set up all over.
Yes.
And then say I want to add a switch, right? And they're better now. Before, they would have 5 models that kind of were almost the same, but a little bit different each. And it was like trying to figure out which is the newest, whatever. So you'd have to sit there in Amazon and go through all of the various processes to figure which is which. Now I just go to Perplexity and I tell it, build me a comparison chart of these ubiquity models. And Perplexity, which now Google's starting to add to theirs, it would just give me the answer. Like I could just pull up this chart real quick, look at it, see what's going on, go make my order at UI.com. Echo might be able to bring some of that to the party, but like I'm not paying you for me to go buy stuff from you.
But there's no screen, right? There's no screen.
Well, my kitchen one has a screen.
Your kitchen one has a screen, but if you do have a screen, then you have to interact with it.
That screen is tiny for an old man. Let's just get that covered.
I mean, what's compelling for me is the automation scenario. If they can plug it into, hey, go build this automation for me, go set up a routine for me, or that kind of thing. Like, I think they're going to probably drop the ball out of the gate. But if they can do that, that's what will really change the difference between all these AI assistants at this point, because they have connections to all these integrations and on hardware. I think that's what they need, but they won't have that.
It'd be so nice to wake up, open your eyes, and say, "Good morning, Echo," and then, oops. Good morning, Echo. Go. And then I'm wondering if I do that, if it will stop triggering. If I say, Alexa, will that fix the trigger? I don't know. Anyway, it would be nice to wake up. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep my hands off the buttons. I apologize. It'd be nice if you could wake up and say, "Hey, good morning, Echo." And it would open the curtains, start the coffee, turn on the air conditioning in the car, do all the things, get you ready for work. But
if they're building it from scratch, instead of just using off-the-shelf general purpose LLM,
apparently they're using Anthropic. They're using
Anthropic, which means that most of their work is going to be like honing it in rather than actually making it focused. So if they started with the basics and saying, these are the things that we know are true, these are the routines that we know about, and not only would they give like clear saying like these things work, and we've tested them and we've made sure that these things work, but now they're just making it a giant like box of chocolate. You don't know what you're going to get when you do one of these commands. How will it interpret it? What will it do? What will it use that information for? Where is this being stored? Who is it sending it to? Are they going to also send it to their advertisers? All this stuff is just like a giant question mark. And
especially because it's Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Furthermore, because this came on the heels of us learning, I think from the information, or no, it was the Wall Street Journal, that Amazon had lost tens of billions of dollars on Echo, because they had hoped, they were subsidizing, I guess, the hardware, and of course it cost money to run the servers. They'd hoped people would use it for money-making things for them, like buying stuff from Amazon. Instead, as you said, they just used it for timing pasta. and what's the weather going to be, and that's all we use it for too, to be honest. I love your idea, Lou, of using it for home automation. I went out and bought the Home Assistant server, the HA
Right.
Green, and at least it goes out and discovers everything, but it doesn't. I mean, it's like the first step in that process.
Right.
It'd be nice
And
if you could then say, open those blinds, turn that light
Right.
on, and that kind
The
of
generic LLMs can't do it. I mean, you're going to have to fine tune. You have to add another integration to it. So there's a lot of extra work that Amazon would have to do on top of Anthropic to make it all work. And that's why I'm fairly certain that they're not going to be there in the V1 scenario. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I got all excited because I saw that Amazon was going to release Remarkable, and I thought, oh, they bought the Remarkable? No, that's what they're calling in a massive confusion. Remarkable makes a nice, and I love it, tablet that you can write on, as does Amazon, by the way. They've named their AI version of Echo Remarkable, a word. And you use it too. It's great, isn't it? Love it.
Yeah, it's great.
So Reuters says they're going to charge $5 to $10 a month for the new Remarkable version, due release in October ahead of the holiday season. Reuters is also the one that says it will be using Anthropic's Claude AI. Claude Sonnet, the latest Claude, is pretty good. One of the reasons I pay for all of these, and I forgot, I also pay $20 a month for Perplexity, is so I can try them all. And they're, some are better at some things than others. I'm afraid that all it's going to do is the Remarkable Echo will be just chatty Echo.
Can't get it to shove out of his, right?
Leo, you didn't get your Perplexity for free for being dumb enough to buy one of these?
Oh, you bought an R1. He's got it, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, you know what? I got $200 worth of Perplexity credit, so it's not a complete wash. No. And orange is a color that I love, so it's cute. But
it's designed by those. Who is that, Bernito, that you love so much?
Teenage Engineering.
Yeah, Teenage Engineering.
Well, they should have called Blue and asked him some questions.
Yeah. It's just, it turns out, we found out that R1 is just an Android device running an app.
Basically.
Raspberry Pi in a box, right?
Yeah. Kind of, sort of.
It's a little portable pie. It's like a McDonald's pie. It's a tiny little pie.
You got it in a Happy Meal.
New headline tomorrow.
Yeah.
Don't those burn you as well?
Ooh, shots fired.
Just don't,
Wesley, you're on fire today.
Don't keep it in your lap. That's all I'm saying. Initial versions of the new A-word using in-house software, according to Reuters, simply struggled for words. Sometimes, this is your worst nightmare. I'm paying $10 for this. Sometimes taking 7 seconds to acknowledge a prompt and reply. I'm thinking here. Okay. That's why. Okay, this was the version that in-house Amazon intelligence. That's why they turned to Claude, because it's faster. But is it better? I don't know. At least you won't wait 7 seconds for it to respond. It's so weird because Amazon had such success with Echo. It's in my car. Weird. It's in every device. My Sonos speaker says, "Well, you want to use Echo to talk to us?" No. My Sonos speakers have their own AI voice, Google's voice, and Alexa's, and it's all terrible. None of it works. Although the nice thing about the Sonos voice is Giancarlo Esposito, the guy from Breaking Bad.
Yes, Breaking Bad.
Los Pollos Hermanos. Gus. It's Gus Fring.
I love
Gus Fring in my Sonos. So when he says, "I don't know what you're saying," at least it's Gus Fring saying that. That's all we can expect. In fact,
that's G Big Brother Almighty.
I'd almost pay $10 just to have celebrity voices and leave it at that.
Yeah, man.
Like
when
Scarlett
we had
Johansson?
Tom with James Earl Jones,
voice.
that was the best.
Yeah. So Amazon tried that, but they all expired, right? They expired, didn't they?
Yes.
They had some good ones on Waze too. Like these companies do a really good job of getting these celebrities to do them. Yeah.
Anthropic, in which Amazon owns a minority stake, did not confirm the Reuters story. Amazon, a spokesperson said, Amazon uses many different technologies to power A-word. When it comes to machine learning models, we start with those built by Amazon, but we have used and will continue to use a variety of different models, including Titan, which is Amazon's AI. It's funny. Is that the first time you've ever heard that the Amazon's AI is named Titan? It is for me.
No, unfortunately.
You knew this. Oh, wait a minute. That may be because of who your employer used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll say no more. Say no more. You are the only person who knew this.
How tight could it be, though, right? It's using Anthropic.
Yeah. It can't be that Titan. Future as well as partners build the best experience for customers, blah, 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 blah. The use of the remarkable A word, as it is known internally, is expected in October with a preview coming during Annual's event, their devices and services event, which is coming up pretty soon, I think. Do we know when? I don't know when. Sometime this month. Amazon has not yet said when it plans to hold a showcase event. Oh, if I just read the next sentence, I would know.
I've read this, and this is the thing that makes me even more scared about the launch is they don't know anything. Oh, what price will it be?
No idea.
When will we launch it? I don't know.
No.
If
What
you
it will
haven't
do.
figured it out now, that means that they haven't.
They're
thought
waiting to the
about
last
it.
minute, aren't they?
And so, it's like, why don't you why didn't you figure this out before you started creating this product? And that's the part where it's just like, oh my gosh, you're just throwing things and see what sticks, and which sometimes works, but also if you don't know internally what you're doing, externally, how are you going to project that to get people to buy it? And
another
people
thing
are going
Amazon
to set expectations that are wrong.
Doesn't know. Amazon says it sold 500 million Echoes, but it doesn't know how many active users there are.
And that's a funny one too, because one thing is better now, but one thing that they're famous for is disconnecting themselves from your network. And so I would always get it telling me, "Oh, you got to reconnect," and I got sick of it
why
for
they don't
a hot
know.
minute. So that's why they don't know.
Do you mean how
who's
many we're
actively
connected
using
to
it.
now, or maybe how we ever have been connected to? How many we've ever been?
That's even more funny. Well, the reason why it's funny is if you juxtapose that against all of the people that think the thing is constantly listening to you, I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry that math doesn't math, right? So there's that part of it as well.
So I have to ask this, Wesley, and just don't say anything if you can. You used to work there,
I used to work at AWS as a division of
but
Amazon.
not in the AI division. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Don't say
division launched
anything.
last Tuesday.
That was a look. Okay. You worked somewhere inside AWS.
somewhere aside AWS that was tangentially connected to a lot of different projects and services.
Okay. But you don't work there anymore.
I don't know.
Did you sign a piece of paper that says you can't say anything?
If I did, I couldn't say that I did.
Fight Club.
Okay. I don't want to pry or anything. And you only need to say what you want to say, but obviously we raised that issue. It came up, so I probably should say something about it.
Yes, disclosure. Yes, I used to
Yes.
work for AWS for 2 years.
Yeah.
Leo,
No longer.
Do you think that this is an exit from honeymoon phase for Panos? Like, I feel like Panos Panay, who's got to this company, who's stepped into this company, into this role, almost the impossible role. This is a way for him to kind of stretch a little bit of his muscles.
Thanks for bringing that up. Panos Panay, who was...
Oh, that's the link between you and I.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the tenuous thread that connects the two of you. Panos was, of course, at Microsoft, chief product officer at Microsoft. He's the one who was always pumped. He was so pumped to show you the new Surface. I'm so pumped. And then he left kind of abruptly. There was always the question about whether he was pushed out or we don't know. You don't know. I'm not asking you, Lou.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. But he left abruptly, and then it was announced that he was going to go to lead Amazon's consumer electronics business, which includes not just Echo, but Kindle, Fire TV, Fire tablets, the Ring doorbells, Eero networking, Blink, and even the Amazon App Store. So he's got a big thing. But I think this A-word products showcase, which they do every year, will probably be. I expect Panos to be pretty pumped for all.
No,
this
I don't. And I bet he came into Amazon and had a rude awakening about
He's
how
less
much impact
pumped.
he would be able to have. Yeah.
Everything's stagnated. If you look, the whole list that you just gave is just stagnated for like 5 years now, right? Ring, Blink, you name it.
And
because he's not
said,
even able. Yeah, let's move technology for a second. He's not even. No one's able to even do a PR spin around his influence or what is to come or changes that are on the horizon. It's been super quiet, and they're not saying anything because there's nothing to be said and probably nothing to be expected. Yeah. So I think he probably is just like living in his own private hell about the lack of impact and how confusing and chaotic it is inside.
Well, that makes it even funny because it does. I mean, okay, so without saying it, we've all kind of like approached this as this is somewhat of a reach for Amazon, considering nothing said. But you have to understand that if everybody else is making moves and they're the only ones that hasn't, and they're still considered a pretty big fish, then you look like the dude on the bass tournament on ESPN that his rod ain't even flinked once, while everybody else, even the rookie guys, the guests or the celebrities that they bring on, even those guys caught a fish so far. You haven't done anything. So they were like, okay, can you swim under there, hook a fish onto this thing, and then come back up so I can pretend? And this is basically what this is for now. Now, they might look up and find something dope to do with this, but it kind of seems like it's just we have to do something, people.
There's a certain, I don't know, there's an irony in the fact that the guy who's famous for being pumped replaced a guy named Dave Limp at Amazon.
Dave Limp, that's so funny. I laughed at that myself.
I don't know if there's anything to be said about it, but I thought that was interesting. So you think this is interesting? You think that poor Panos? I don't know if I should say poor, but poor Panos. No. I always liked that. He was look. It was Microsoft's way of trying to find a Steve Jobs presenter. Somebody who
he was well liked.
Galvanize people. And actually, Stevie Batish to me is the guy I would rather see presenting. He's amazing, and his when he talks about AI at Microsoft, I listen. Panos was always a little over the top for me, but he was that guy. He was a showman. And you're telling me that he's going to get to Amazon, and all the air is going to go out of his pump balloon, and he's going to be the next Dave Limp? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, let me give you a scenario. Okay, the cornerstone of what would make Amazon a powerhouse is if they're able to connect things together to have more of an ecosystem, because they are in a lot of different things. Like, for instance, if you could use this Echo to dictate notes to your Kindle Scribe, right?
Oh, wouldn't that be cool?
And then you're like, hey, start a new document. This is what I'm thinking of, blah, blah, blah. It cleans it up. It sends like the raw version and an edited version to your Scribe. And you can edit up, mark it up or whatever, and make changes. And then you're able to have that synergy. That requires you to have like a connection with the team that makes the devices and the software. And if you've ever worked at a company like the one that we're talking about, you realize that there are so many cowboys and independents and people are just doing whatever they want to do, and they don't have to listen to you. And if you cannot convince them, or if you can't say like, this is what you're going to get if you do this, and bribe them, basically, you don't get anywhere. And that scenario is like, it took me 5 seconds to think about it. And it's something that could actually bring value, but that's not even in the rumors of something that might even happen.
You had a visceral reaction. I was watching you. It was like,
yeah,
oh.
Yeah,
it was clear. Well, maybe we'll find out. I mean, they don't traditionally stream that event. In fact, they don't even really allow people to kind of tweet from it. So we have to wait till afterwards to find out what they announce and how it went. But
yeah, I bet whatever they announce, it'll be ready months, or like
it often
would not be that day.
Yeah. They need a leader. You're right. So Andy Jassy maybe isn't that guy, but they need a leader who can unify this all. I feel like the problem is a little bit that Jeff Bezos just said, all right, I'm done. I'm out of here. And we walked away and got away in the nick of time, maybe, but left a company kind of in disarray. And I don't think Andy Jassy has pulled it back together again. And you're not going to say
it's the same kind of Google problem where they printed a lot of money.
We see this again and again.
where they just like, well, no matter what we do, we're going to be getting money. So like, why do we try so hard? And so the incentive structure internally is not one to let you take chances or to be able to try something in a way that you can at least structurally saying like, if this works, we're going to hit it big. They'll try something where like, okay, we got to do something like from the top down where they're telling us to do AI things. And so you make the AI things that someone's telling you to do without any thought behind it, because that's the incentive, is to follow the direction of people who sign your paychecks rather than listening to the ideas from people who work in different departments and then try to get them together and collaborate and build something new and unique and then thrust that forward. If it doesn't come from the top, then maybe you're incentivized to do it, maybe you're not, but you're really just want to make sure you rest and invest and just don't get fired and just stay as long as you can, because if you try something new and it doesn't work, you're out of there. So Panos
Amazon
might be looking for another job soon.
Unlike Google, and I don't know, I've read, I don't know if this is true, but unlike Google, Amazon doesn't quick to retire things. They just kind of put them on the back burner. You're kind of in this limbo, and you don't get resources, you don't get attention, but you also don't get canceled. And maybe Google deserves some more credit, even though they get a lot of hell for canceling things. They deserve more credit for at least saying, okay, we're done, moving on.
That is until there's a leadership change and a reorg. And didn't they just get like a new leadership structure, new CEO over on the AWS side? And so all of this is being shaken up. And then there is the return to office mandates, and there are layoffs. There's a lot of restructuring going on. So this is the time where I think, this is the time where like the whole, what you're talking about, the Echo division got like cut off. Like things are currently the house is being cleaned.
He was, Matt Garman was at 18 years at Amazon. That's pretty typical too, I think, for a lot of people before he got pushed aside. So,
well, Matt Garden got promoted.
He's in, and it's Adam Slipsky who stepped aside. Is that right? Yep. Okay. Mm-hmm. Just to give you an idea, nobody knows who the hell these people are, or even that it happened. It's just a giant monolith of a company.
25% of this podcast knows.
Yeah, one. This is credit, by the way, Lou, and I'm not kissing up to you, but credit to Satya Nadella, who took a company that was at the end of its, their business cycles. It was kind of at the end of its business cycle and brought it back to life in a very big way. The only other company I can think of that's done this in the tech sphere is Apple, which has survived kind of the up and down. Mm-hmm. But it's very hard. Google's having a hard time. Amazon's having a hard time.
Right. If you think about it, Satya took a play out of Jobs' playbook. I mean, he basically he made the company the way it is by using relationships. And that's really what Steve did, he made relationships with companies. And,
So Slipsky,
he also streamlined it a little bit as well. Like just stop. I always called them such a Nutella. I think he did
Sriracha
Nutella
job. Is what Zephyr West calls him in our YouTube chat.
Right.
That's mean.
Did such a great job of like, let's stop trying to do everything. Let's pull back some of the tentacles of just being involved in everything, and let's focus on some key pillars. And I think that level of streamlining really did help Microsoft make the turnaround. And getting rid of mobile was brilliant. Right. Like that was a play that just wasn't going to look good, and it was costing a lot of money. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, why do we have to do everything? Let's just chill out.
That was Ballmer's big deal, right? He bought Nokia. Right. Ballmer really wanted to get Microsoft into mobile. I understand what he was thinking because he's watching Apple soar with mobile. So he bought Nokia, and then the first thing Nadella did was dump it, write it off.
Which was crazy because at the end of the day, Windows mobile devices were sick, right?
I still am sad about it. Yeah. Was it a good business decision though? Would there have been
100%?
Yeah, it had to be, right?
It had to be. I think
it's a shame. We deserve more than two platforms for mobile. There's only iOS and Android. It would be wonderful if there were a third, don't you think?
I think so. 100%. But at the time,
their issue is they targeted North America. If they charted like India or something and they launched there, that would have been a winning strategy.
That's 100% facts right there. Had they had enough wherewithal to reach outside of the confines of the U.S., they would have probably done a lot better, and we'd still have Windows Mobile. But at the time, it's almost like, I know tech people hate to use a sports metaphor, but I'm going to use one. It's almost like getting rid of, what's his face, T.O. or AI. These are the top players on both teams, but they were a pain in the butt, and they caused a lot of trouble. And so the coaches that came in and said, we're going to take a risk and get rid of the legit best player on our team because the whole team needs to focus, completely changed both teams.
Okay, let me translate that into nerd, okay, because no one understood what you just said.
Oh, Lou did. Lou got it. I saw his head.
If a team has a guy who's a real PETA, a real pain in the butt, even if he's your best player, you might get rid of him because it's not good for team coherence. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. And mobile at the time was just as good as it was a complete disconnect from what they were trying to do and what they were focused on and growth potentials that had to happen. So they had to get rid of it, even though it was kind of a winner.
I think it's really complex. I mean, they couldn't get developers. Part of the problem was they were the third platform. They couldn't get developers to write for it. They also couldn't get, and this was maybe the bigger one, they couldn't get Verizon and AT&T to recommend it. They'd put them in the stores, but and most Americans, maybe you're right, if they'd gone outside the U.S., they would have had a shot, but most Americans buy from the big phone companies. And if it's not in the phone, I'm told if it's not in the phone stores, this is what happened to Huawei when it got, they had a deal with Verizon and AT&T, and as soon as the U.S. government convinced them, no, you shouldn't have a Chinese phone in your stores, and they canceled that deal, Huawei said, that's it. We're done in the U.S. market because we can't possibly sell direct to consumers. Right. So
Definitely
you can blame the phone companies too. Maybe Microsoft didn't bring the bags of cash to them that they should have.
It's definitely an ecosystem problem. Like they didn't have all the big apps on there. Like every app would come out and it would be missing Windows Phone. It wasn't that it wasn't easy to develop on, to be honest with you. It's probably one of the easiest.
They already knew how. It was Windows.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a chicken and egg problem, right? They said they can't get any developers, so move to a region where developers don't matter, right?
Where's that?
Like places like India.
In India,
where
it doesn't matter if you have the apps?
It's because you go low level. You need people who need internet access and being able to text.
Right. That's why Android does well, but those are $50 phones.
You could make a $50. That's what I was saying. They could have done that. That's where they could have played.
Done that. They had Nokia. They could have absolutely done that. Yeah. And to Wesley's point, one thing that is very different about, say, developing in a country like India is it's easier to develop when you have a homogenous nation where the culture is kind of sort of one to two things versus trying to develop for a culture that is 600-700 separate things. So yes, they could have done some things, I think a lot more low-level apps, things that just fit exactly to a culture. And at the time, nobody was focusing on that. Once Windows Mobile went out the window, all the device sellers like T-Mobile, AT&T, whatever, they built an entire tertiary mobile market into India, right? Like what to do with the phones when they're no longer being subsidized and you're trading them all in. What are you going to do with the second hand or third phones, right? And they exploded in places like India. So yeah, they literally were right at the right cusp, but there's in the bad timing, They opened up a all-you-can-eat burger restaurant right when the country decided to go vegan.
That's Doc Rock. Always great to have you on youtube.com/Doc Rock. He's also at Ecamm, and we thank you for your support at Ecamm, getting us into the modern world. I feel like a Twitch streamer here in my little attic studio, but I don't have those blinky things behind you. My blinky things are a PDP and a MITS Altair. That's not. I'm trying to get the Mac to blink. If I can get the Mac to blink, then I'll have something. Also here, Wesley Faulkner. Wesley, what are you doing these days? Wesley83.com is your link tree.
I'm doing a lot of public speaking. I will be. We were joking in the pre-show, but I will be at the AnandTech conference in Atlanta next week.
Oh, there really is one. Oh, that's
yes.
hysterical. I was just teasing you guys. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be speaking at CMX Global at the end of the month as well, and Black Python devs is also having a conference, and I will be there as well. So I'm doing a lot of public speaking right now. And
also a spokesperson for neurodivergent folk.
Neurodiverse, and I'm also listed on this. You see some projects I'm working on. So I'm on the board here in AnandTech in Southwest Virginia, but I'm also the Linux Foundation is creating a separate foundation for developer relations.
Oh, good.
And so I'm part of the steering committee, and
awesome.
So we're kicking that off soon, and we're going to make an announcement. I'll just say this month. And so we're
right
gathering a lot of feedback.
Next year's probably right.
And so if you're in developer relations and you're listening to this, click on the link for the foundation. Go into it's going to take you to a place where you can find our GitHub discussions. There's a plan for how we're going to take community feedback, so please look it over. Give us some feedback about what you think should be changed, if you think we're on the right track. And so please do that.
It's Linux focused because it's part of the Linux Foundation, right?
Well, it's developer relations it's going to be a child organization off the Linux Foundations to make sure that shows that we're not beholden to any specific company.
Nice.
And so it's kind of like a nonpartisan part of developer relations to make sure that we service both business interests in general, but also the developer community at large, to make sure that we are not just making sure companies get fat, but developers get educated and they get knowledgeable about new upcoming services projects and all that stuff that comes out. So,
fantastic.
That's something I'm extremely happy about, because developer relations has been around for a bit, but it's one of those things where someone takes it and changes the name, changes what they think it is, and then they just make a definition of what they think it is. It's like people who are like moot point. Moot. The word moot used to mean it's up for discussion,
right?
And now it means the opposite.
There's no discussion necessary. It's moot.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And so people were saying I'm nauseous, and now it means that I'm feeling sick, but
instead
nauseous means that yes, exactly. Right. And so that's kind of what DevRel's been. It's been one of those things where people have
it's often marketing, isn't it? Really, it's often like
people think that
you should use our stuff.
People think that's what it is, or content creators and influencers stuff. Like, I want you to, like, going viral on YouTube or on Twitch or whatever. That people think that's developer relations, and it's just convincing people at the top of the funnel for awareness or creating content, like write a blog post. There's a lot of things that we do that people can see, but there's a lot of things that people don't see behind the scenes, which is really what developer relations is. But if you're just outside looking in, then you don't really understand the mechanics and all of the talent and the skills needed in order to make all this look effortless. And so that's the part that we're trying to make
Huge
sure
respect
that
for
we
developers.
have a center of knowledge. And not only that, it's just like real definitions, and like making sure that the ownership doesn't go to these people who don't know what they're doing.
Yay. Sounds good. Go to wesley83.com and click the link for DevRel Foundation. You can get involved. This is a good time to do it right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wesley. It's great to have you. And also Lou MM, who is a developer, ironically enough. Yes?
Yeah. For 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
It's great to have all three of you. Our show today brought to you by, as a new sponsor, I want to welcome Flashpoint. For security leaders, 2024 has been interesting, shall we say, a year like no other. Cyber threats, physical security concerns, they continue to increase, and now you've got geopolitical instability, adding a new layer of risk and uncertainty. Let's be specific. Last year, there was a staggering 84% rise in ransomware attacks. That's almost double. There was a 34% jump in data breaches. As a result, trillions of dollars in financial losses and threats to safety worldwide. That's where Flashpoint comes in. Flashpoint empowers organizations to make mission-critical decisions that will help keep their people and assets safe. How? By combining cutting-edge technology with the expertise of world-class analyst teams. And with Ignite, Flashpoint's award-winning threat intelligence platform, you get access to critical data, finished intelligence, alerts, and analytics all in one place. It's what they say, isn't it? Knowledge is power. If you have an enterprise to secure, you need to know what's going on out there. You need those reports. You need the analytics. You need what Flashpoint can give you. Maximize your existing security investments. Some Flashpoint customers avoid $500 million in fraud loss annually and report a 482% return on investment in 6 months. That's probably why they earned Frost & Sullivan's 2024 Global Product Leadership Award for unrivaled threat data and intelligence. Here's a quote from the SVP of Cyber Operations at a large U.S. financial institution that shall remain unnamed. Flashpoint saves us over $80 million in fraud losses every year. Their proactive approach and sharp insights are crucial in keeping our financial institutions secure. They're not just a solution. They're a strategic partner helping us stay ahead of cyber threats. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is security. You need to know what's coming down the pike. It's no wonder Flashpoint is trusted by both mission-critical businesses and governments worldwide. You need this. To access the industry's best threat data and intelligence, visit flashpoint.io today. FLASHPOINT. Flashpoint.io today. Intelligence. The kind of intelligence you need to stay secure, to stay safe in a changing world. Flashpoint.io. We're so glad to have them. Brand new sponsor on the network. So let's see. What else? We talked about Amazon. We talked about AI. Let's talk about Pavel Durov. The news broke this time last week, so we were right on top of it during TWiT. Pavel Durov, the CEO and founder of Telegram, arrested in Paris. We weren't sure at the time exactly why he was arrested. He wasn't charged immediately. Took a few days before and this is how it works in France. It's a little weird. But the magistrates ended up charging him with a variety of failings. The charge failing to properly fight crime on the app, including the spread of child sexual abuse material. Also, by the way, he's out on bail right now, but also it is believed not cooperating with authorities. His bail was set $5.56 million. The question is, and this is a question everybody in the U.S. is asking, and certainly Elon Musk is asking, is what was it he did? Was it not moderating sufficiently, or was it not giving the keys to encrypted chats to the French authorities?
It's interesting.
Yeah, Durov was released from police custody earlier in the day on Wednesday, and the formal investigation announced Wednesday evening does not apply guilt. This is the French legal system. It's a little weird, but indicates that prosecutors believe it's not an indictment exactly, but there's enough of a case to merit a serious investigation. So there's no formal charge. Among other things they were concerned about is the, quote, near absence of response from Telegram to court requests, subpoenas in effect, concerning offenses including trafficking, online hate speech, and pedophilia. The suspected acts being probed include complicity in the administration of a platform enabling an illegal transaction in an organized gang. So the concern is, one, this is a part of the governments worldwide trying to break through encryption, but also it may well be that he did kind of breach the line by not responding to legitimate requests for information, subpoenas they'd be called in the U.S. I don't know what they call them in France. Subpoena. Anyway, cause for concern, or is Durov a bad actor who deserves to be prosecuted? or both?
Okay, I'm gonna say something, but I haven't done all my research. But this is what I am assuming. One, yes, I think he just ignored the letters and just didn't respond. And how else are you supposed to do that? But the thing that I think why he personally got arrested is probably this thing that I've heard and I've seen it people do who have this much money and want to do whatever they want, is that when they run a company, they actually have very little, if any, employees, and everyone is a contractor.
Telegram is famously lean. They have just, I think they said 30 engineers and 50 moderators for nearly 1 billion active monthly users.
Which means that they're basically, these people they are on contract. They're not responsible to respond to legal notices. And there's one person that's in charge of everything, and it'd be the owner, the CEO. And so the only person they could actually hold liable is the CEO. So
I mean, no one's denying, including Durov, that Telegram is widely used by a variety of people, including terrorists, people who plotted the 2015 murders in France, the people who plotted the January 6th insurrection in the United States. Both the Russian army and the Ukrainian army use Telegram.
Right.
It's kind of used by everybody. Nobody's denying that.
Yes, and it's also used by the French government.
By the way, yes, every minister in France uses Telegram.
Yeah, but the only now is because they are not responding to specific requests. It'd be one thing if they denied the request, but there's been nothing that I've seen that shows that they refused or they actually said that they're not going to do it, or putting to appeal or like challenging anything in court. They're not doing any of that. They're just ignoring it. Yeah. So that is something I don't think you can get away with, is just ignoring it. It doesn't go away just because you stick your head in the sand, and then you don't just get to live your life and act like nothing happened. So, because like a lot of it is speculation. Oh, it's Telegram, or it's encrypted, or
partly we have to speculate because the French haven't been very forthcoming in what they're charging him with. Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, said it's not political. In a rare statement about a magisterial action in France, he said
they're not saying what they're charging him with. They're saying why, and the reason why is they're not responding. He didn't respond, so I don't think it's cryptic about why he was arrested. What they're actually trying to dig up, there's a possibility they don't want to spook or scare off or tip their hand about who specifically they're investigating. So from that point, it's vague, and it should be, because it's an active investigation. But saying, you don't just get to say no bueno, so Spanish instead of French. But you don't get to just say whatever, you just like ignore it and just let it go away. I think they made it clear that was what was happening.
Durov is a joint citizen of the United Arab Emirates and France, but he's a former Russian citizen. He was born in the Soviet Union, left Russia after the Russian government forced him to sell his VKontakte, which is a Facebook, basically a Facebook in Russia. Fled to Dubai, has been living in Dubai, but apparently also has a French citizenship, and flew into France on his private plane last week and was arrested almost immediately. Yeah, I wonder, we just don't know. It's related, though, to a similar story in Brazil, where X, formerly known as Twitter, is now blocked. The shutdown started early yesterday, making it inaccessible on the web after Elon Musk refused to name a legal representative in the country. Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes said, you must name a legal representative who will be responsible. Countries do this. Russia does it. China does it as well. Somebody in country we can arrest if you don't adhere to our rules.
Yeah, they're waxed and then removed.
Yep. They're given the Brazilian treatment. So on the one hand, I want to fight for the right of platforms to be kind of uncensored. But at the same time, there does seem to be kind of a minimum that a platform needs to do to stay in a country. One is, of course, respond to legal warrants asking for information. But what if the government, and we don't know this, what if the government of France is asking Pavel Durov to give them the keys to the encryption? So that, by the way, Telegram is not a very encrypted app. It's not end-to-end encrypted, probably. You have to jump through hoops to turn on encryption, and group chats are never or cannot be encrypted. And there is most of what's on Telegram is not just unencrypted, but is public. There are large public groups, many of which are unsavory to say the least. But I don't know if if unsavory content justifies arresting the founder and owner of the company.
Right.
Yeah, that's like almost like taking out the owner of a building because some dude bought a condo and was, selling illegal whatever in there. It doesn't really match. But to me, the hardest part about this conversation is Elon likes to use the blanket terms of censorship and, controlling and stuff when it works in his favor. When it's something that he doesn't like, he'll censor that, but that's not censorship, right? And it's weird because this dude wants to play both sides of the situation. And I just think he is at the point where he thinks he's Lex Luthor. Like, he really, really is trying to be the quintessential villain person. Let me disrupt everything, do everything. No one can control me. I got enough money to buy my way at everything. So he's almost acting on a level of, I won't use the word, but you squirt it out of a bottle.
Ketchup? Mustard?
Yeah,
relish?
there you go.
Okay.
I think he's funny. I was going to say this. He's relishing in how, abrasive can he be and get away with it. And I think he's, at this point, just poking for no reason.
Well, he's, Brazil is a very big
guy.
market for X. They're not anywhere close to the number one social tool. They're not as popular, according to the AP, as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok, but still a big platform. You remember when Brazil tried to shut down WhatsApp? The Brazilian courts shut down WhatsApp for about 5 minutes, and the protests in Brazil were so aggressive that they immediately restored it. I don't see that happening with X, but it's only been a day. What will Elon do? Well, it doesn't look like he's going to cave. He's just going to say goodbye to Brazil.
Didn't he say that he obeys all local laws? Isn't that something that he said before that?
He says a lot of things.
Free speech, as long as it obeys the laws. But now he's just like, those laws are unlawful. So I'm not. You can't do that. Well, I guess you can, but this is what happens. Someone said that they're in the find out phase of when you start.
F around and find out. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, they are. Both he and Pat. There seems to be a lot of kind of similarity between what Durov's happening to Durov, although Elon has not been arrested. But there is, in both cases, large nation states want to control these platforms, and I'm just concerned that some of this is just governments trying to pierce the privacy protections of encryption. On the other hand, I think a government has every right. If a platform kind of knows there's a lot of child porn going on and they're not really doing anything about it and they're not responding to subpoenas about it, which could be what's happening at Telegram, then I can understand why a government would say, well, get in here. You need to explain yourself and you need to start cooperating. Brazil is going to fine X 50,000 reais each day. That's $8,900. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's for people using VPNs to get on X. Brazilians who get. So if you're Brazilian, you say, no, I'm going to use a VPN so I can access X. $8,900 a day fine. Wow. Basically, the court says we don't want anybody using it. That's pretty extreme. In fact, the AP says some legal experts question the grounds for that decision and how it would be enforced. Others suggested the move was authoritarian.
Yeah, there's a flex of power there. I think he's taking to the extreme because he doesn't like Elon, and the fact that he's pushing back. Obviously, like Wes was saying, like Elon did these things in India and Australia. He blocked, he took down content that the government didn't like, and now Brazil comes along and they don't like something, they want to take it down, and he won't do it. So, they thought, why don't we just turn the big knob?
They're also going to go after the assets of SpaceX because if they can't get the assets of X, they can go after the assets of Elon's other companies. That is, again, it seems to me a bridge too far. It's the same guy who founded both and runs both, but it's not the same company.
Sounds like when you get into an accident,
those are our
personal.
Right, but those are our rules in the U.S. Those are the rules in other portions of the world.
Yes.
Right? So if the other places, they can definitely reach through to your other entities and get your stuff. But, and it's funny because we want to apply our rules, but then yet be global. And that's the problem.
I was thinking it's like a car wreck. When you're like a 3-car wreck, car 1 gets hit by car 2 because car 2s get hit by car 3 and it rams into car 1. You sue the person who hit you, even though it wasn't their direct fault. And then they have to recover from the person that caused the harm, that caused the whole chain of events. So you take SpaceX's money and then say, okay, we'll get it from Elon because he's one who did it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Elon is also in trouble, or was in trouble, for using his platform to promote Dogecoin, but the courts have said no. Get this. This is ridiculous. So Elon Musk and Tesla were being sued. The claim was they pumped up the price of Dogecoin into a $258 billion pyramid scheme. Investors who lost tens of thousands of dollars investing in what was a meme token, let's face it, Dogecoin, really? Faulted Musk for promoting it to his millions of followers on Twitter with statements like, one word, Doge, causing it to rise. He then said Tesla would accept Dogecoin as payment, which it never did, I don't think. And he posted this tweet: "Baby Doge, baby Doge, I guess that's Baby Shark, to the tune of Baby Shark, which I will not sing." A New York judge on Thursday dismissed the claims, finding that Musk's statements promoting Dogecoin were aspirational rather than factual and susceptible to being falsified, and that no reasonable investor could rely upon them.
Yeah. It's clear. Musk works for himself. He's got idealistic worldviews, but, you shouldn't be, as a shareholder, follow him, right? Like he wants to make money himself. He doesn't want to make you money. He's going to be funny, but, with great power comes great responsibility. Things you say could have impact. And I think this is what happened. I mean, it's just it's kind of a joke, actually, in my eyes.
So he touted Dogecoin for months. In May of 2021, after doing that, he appeared on Saturday Night Live as a financial expert in a newscast. When pressed, his character in the comical exchange, I'm reading from Bloomberg, finally agrees that Dogecoin is a hustle. Before the show was over, it lost $20 billion in market value. I think the judge probably rightly said, hey, it's on you. If you believed any of this hype, it's on you.
I don't like Elon Musk personally, but not that I know him personally, but I think this was the right call. I mean, he's allowed to have things he likes. He's allowed to say that he likes those things. He does
walk the edge, though, right?
But did he say like everyone should buy this?
No,
or like this is
said
financial?
One word, Doge.
Yeah,
but I think you're right. He was just being funny. He wasn't.
Yeah. He likes it. He thought it was funny. He likes the little dog, maybe, and so
he's a goof.
Yeah, he's a goof. And so I don't see anything criminal with him just saying I really like this thing.
Yeah,
like Doc Rock could say like I really like this R1. It's amazing. And does that make him liable if someone else buys it? I don't think so.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and you're right about that. And I think one of the things that's absolutely hilarious at this point is when people make a bad purchasing decision and they try to blame somebody else because they bought it. I'm like, yo, that's kind of on you. So to coin a phrase from Dr. Drew, stupid people going to stupid, and I don't fault the person who made the recommendation. I fault the person who took a risk without fully understanding what the risk is and seeing if they were malleable to, if that failed, I'm okay with losing this money.
And then
But that's
going to
any
the courts
investment.
when they did lose money saying, hey, no
Correct.
fair.
Right.
Cry
That's
foul.
any investment is that unless you are completely like bamboozled, like
Right.
through some weird stakes in university, that's a different story. But like if you took a risk on your own, that's like,
So I guess these two stories are related in the sense that what is the responsibility of somebody like Pavel Durov or Elon Musk? They own a platform. What is their response? Do they have a higher responsibility, or can they just act, in the case of Elon, like a goofball? I don't know. Pavel Durov is a little strange, but that's not illegal. Do we want to defend these guys?
Defend the law. Just follow the law.
There you go.
And then do whatever you.
There you
and
go.
it sounds. I mean,
like that.
These are going through the cycles. Those people who
Right.
follow the law get arrested or
Right.
they lose their business or whatever.
Right.
You don't get to just do whatever you want all of the time. Just most of the time when you're rich.
Defend
and
well,
so-
and then try to
I
use
like
the law
that,
to
Wesley.
protect you in other ways, right? Like, trust me, like a lot of people of this ilk have sued people when they thought it was going to work for them, and then have completely ducked suits when they thought it was going to work for them. So you don't get to play both sides of the law. Either you are the law straight through, all the way through, or you're not. Period. Point blank.
You're watching a very special edition of This Week in Tech. It's special because I'm not going to be here next week. I'm going on vacation for a couple of weeks. I'm looking forward to seeing a bunch of you next Saturday in New York City. We're going to do a little meetup in Bryant Park, which might have been a mistake because I hear that there's rain in the forecast. I just thought it'd be fun to do it outside. New York, it's either 100 degrees or it's pouring rain. So either way, it might be a little challenging. But the plan is to meet up in Bryant Park September 7th, 3 p.m. for a couple of hours. And then Joe in our club is going to lead us all on a photo walk starting at Grand Central Station and ending, time permitting, at the Oculus during the golden hour. It should be a lot of fun. If it rains, I don't know, what should I do? Should I just say, bring an umbrella? I guess there's no way I can get the word out fast enough if it rains to say, okay, we're going to move it somewhere. I'll be standing there. I'll be a little soggy. If it rains, I'll be a little soggy. So what? I'll wear a hat. We'll see you in Bryant Park on Saturday. I will be off for 2 weeks, and then I'll be back on September 22nd for This Week in Tech. So just a little vacation at the end of the summer. Our show today brought to you by, our good friends at Bitwarden, the password manager I use, Steve Gibson uses. We like it. I like it because it's open source. It's free to use for individuals, free forever. And for businesses, it is a cost-effective solution that can drastically increase your chances of staying safe online. Listen up, business leaders. They've just announced a new feature that gives you even more control. It's called collections management. These new collection management settings let owners choose how much or how little access admins have to everything in the vault. So you're the owner, there's the admin, and then there's the users. You can set it so that users are allowed to create and delete their own collections, and admins can't see inside it. That's nice if users are also using Bitwarden for their personal passwords. It's also great for a department that doesn't want to share their passwords with another department. It's great for a policy of least privilege, for example. Another possible setup, of course, full admin control for everything. But the point is, you get the choice. And with these new settings and a new can manage permission, you can have complete control over the access and how sharing works in your Bitwarden organization. So Bitwarden, which is great for individuals, is also great for business. It empowers enterprises, great for developers with their new secrets feature, so you don't accidentally post your API keys or your AWS secrets to your GitHub repository. Great for individuals because you can safely store and share not just passwords, but all your sensitive data. And with a transparent open source approach to password management, Bitwarden makes it easy for users to extend robust security practices to all their online experiences. So, get started with Bitwarden's free trial of a Teams or Enterprise plan, or Get started for free forever across all devices as an individual user. Individuals can even host their own vaults if you want to have, trust no one experience. I let them host it because I think they're going to do a better job than I am. But it's up to you. That's cool. Bitwarden.com/twit. I use it with passkeys. They have great passkey support. They have great support for filling out forms. Their browser extension now supports passkeys as well. It just gets better all the time. I love it. Bitwarden.com/twit. If you're looking for a password manager that's going to fit your needs, check it out. Bitwarden.com/twit. We thank them so much for their support of This Week in Tech. Let's see. What else is going on? Oh, this was sad for me. And I don't know. I guess probably all of you guys read AnandTech for years, right?
Oh, yeah. I loved it.
It was the site to go to if you wanted to know if a chip really did what it said it would do, if you wanted to know if performance was there. They were the geekiest of the geek sites. But like so many sites these days, they're saying goodbye. 27 years.
Super bummed about this one.
Me too. Now, Anand Shimpi, who founded it when he was a kid, he was like a high schooler, left some years ago. I was a little disappointed when this happened, to go to work for Intel. And it so often happens with people who, leave their bylines behind. They just disappear. I don't know what I don't know what Anand's up to. I don't know what he's doing. The site continued to run for some time. In fact, for more than a decade under one of its founders, Ryan Smith. But I think along with a lot of other ad-supported websites, it's just been struggling. It's owned by Future, which will be keeping the AnandTech website and its existing articles alive indefinitely. So that's a relief. That's good. All that content will survive, the old content, but there will be no new articles added to AnandTech.
There's not a lot of sites that bring the geek data to the masses.
No,
I feel like this is one of the last good ones,
and really reliable. And they knew how to do benchmarks. And this is one of the problems I see: is a lot of the mainstream sites do benchmarks, but they don't know what they're doing, and they're really not useful benchmarks. But Anand was always really deep in their tech coverage and really understood stuff. Future bought both Anand and Tom's Hardware, and they're going to continue Tom's Hardware. It's my guess that that's a consolidation of the two.
So back in the early 2000s, I worked for AMD. I was a product development engineer. And so that's where I met Stacy, by the way. So,
that's when I met you. You were still at AMD. Yeah.
And so we had a lot of the technical press there just to make sure that they understood the ins and outs, the guts, and how things were put together, why they worked the way they did, and made them make sure they were connected to the engineers, make sure they were connected to our future plans, because they were integral with making sure that from the technical standpoint that it was expressed like very clearly to the audience out there, distilling the things of their concerns in the voice of the people who read their publications. But those types, that the work that was involved in that was very labor intensive, to do the benchmarking, to do the follow-ups, to really fact check stories. And it made it harder and harder to compete with some of the post mills where there are just articles after articles just released multiple times a day to get ads and get the views and to rack up some of the focus and the eyeballs. And so slowly the hard work became less valued from that perspective, because they weren't able to capture the attention of the people who are looking for that information. It was some of the easier articles, some of the rumor mills, some of the, just photos and leaks and stuff like that, where people were more appealed to the general public than the extreme niche geek that really wanted that information. And I miss that. I love those articles. It let me just that's where I would learn to solder resistors on SCSI cards and to make them RAID cards and those type of things. I don't think people do anymore. And it's just I miss it, and it's the end of era. And I loved all the people who work there as well.
Yeah, I mean, remember when the M1 came out the first time? Anand came back and actually wrote an article about it, and it was like the level of quality that he brought back would just made me realize why I used to go back to that site.
Yeah. Here's a picture of Anand back in the day when he first started AnandTech. He out of his bedroom. He was a high school kid.
There's some ISA slots on that thing.
This is an old motherboard. One of the things Anand has been kind of outspoken about, he was when he left 10 years ago to go to Intel, and his successor, Ryan Smith, also writes about it, and it's even still on the About page at AnandTech, is what he called the cableification or cable TVification of technology coverage, the slant towards sensationalism, and really kind of lower quality link baity articles. The original statement from Anand is actually on the About page at AnandTech, and I hope it will stay up for forever. I think this is part of what killed AnandTech, is the advertisers who in the past might have advertised on AnandTech have moved over to, forgive me, Doc, but YouTubers who are really much more sensationalistic. They draw many, many more eyeballs as a result.
100%.
But I don't know if their content is as high quality. Certainly
100%.
not as detailed and geeky.
This is the conversation I'm having in the chat right now. Everybody loves Linus. Linus, I'll be mean and I'll say it. Linus is clickbaity as all get. And he didn't
He's
used to
gotten
be that
more so
way.
over time. I mean,
100%.
It wasn't always that way. It was much more like AnandTech in the
way.
early days. But this is the
100%.
problem with YouTube. It puts to succeed on YouTube, you have to almost do the thumbnails and the thing and the sensational headline, and I think it's unfortunate.
That is it. He figured out, to Paul's point, he figured out, if I become more entertaining and more clickbaity and more abrasive and all of the above, and even during the time frame, I want to call it about maybe 8 years ago, where it was he saw the other Lou come up with that weird, one of the first sort of viral gates and how that it worked. I think it was Ben Gate. And then from that moment on, Linus was like, oh, I'm gonna have to go anti-Apple for extra hard. And then he went anti-Apple extra hard and he exploded. And so one of the things that he does, which drives me crazy, is telling a bunch of, let's just say, sub 18-year-old kids that these manufacturers are out to get you and charge you a lot for a product that's not really worth it, but will never go in and say the reason why this product is expensive or what expensive really means. Like, if something doesn't match your value proposition, it doesn't match your value proposition. Like me, I'm never going to buy certain things because it doesn't match my value proposition. On the other hand, I'll buy a $2,500 bottle of whiskey because it matches a value proposition. And most people think that's crazy. Like, why? It all tastes like Jack Daniels. No, it doesn't. Not to me. I'm a whiskey connoisseur. So it's when you make a blanket statement like, oh, everything somebody makes is expensive, just to cause hassle or just make up things that aren't true. You know, it drives me crazy. And I really, really am appalled at what happened to Linus, because I used to think he was one of the best in the business.
Yeah.
And there are people like Marquez Brownlee, who I think has succeeded by providing quality. He's never done the kind of in-depth stuff AnandTech did, but I think Oprah, I just saw him in a picture with Oprah. I think he's on his way to stardom. But I feel like this is, I guess, why we still exist. There needs to be at least some content that is just kind of unapologetically geeky and hardcore. And we're not as hardcore as AnandTech was, but we certainly referred to AnandTech all the time, and we had those standards. And I've never been accused of doing link bait. I do 3-hour shows that have no real theme or content. So, but I think we're geeks, right? And we talk to geeks and about geeks and from a geek point of view without trying to pander to an audience.
Right.
And I think that's what AnandTech was. And
it brings a level of credibility, and I think that's what people want.
Yeah.
And being able
do
to
we need
discuss
it
this from
anymore?
a deeper level.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, being able to discuss this from a deeper level, from a critical level, and from people with deep technical knowledge and experience, I think that's where TWiT shines is because the people who know this stuff are on this podcast, on this show, where someone who's running like a content mill, they read a press release, they read like a PR or see a media like marketing sheet, and then they come up with an opinion and they put it out. But so you cannot replicate the base of knowledge, the years, sometimes some of us decades of experience, to be able to see this through a lens where you understand everything that led up to that point, and realizing what the trade-offs are and what the advantages could be. And you don't do that without you don't have that with knowledge without having the experience behind it.
What are there must be YouTube channels that continue to carry this torch, though, this AnandTech.
You know, it's getting harder to find. Okay, so one of the biggest misnomers about YouTube is everybody thinks there's some kind of like secret algorithm that controls what everybody sees and doesn't see. And our dear friend Renee would tell you, every time you want to stick the word algorithm in something, replace it with audience. What they're really doing is feeding the audience what they want. Right? That's all the algorithm is really designed for, is to feed the audience, because if I can keep your butt watching this particular platform for a longer time, I can serve more ads. That's how you run your business. So one of the things that used to be really, really handy for sort of algorithm adjusting would be high levels of engagement. So if you make the weird thumbnail and say something that you know is completely wrong, but will start a fight in the comments,
that's good.
That was good.
That's
because
golden.
It's going to keep people on that page. And so what would happen is, while that page is loaded, even if they're not watching the video, but they're arguing in the comments, there's ads on the side. And those ads are turning over and being flipped or whatever. So the computer who's reading this data is like, this dude from Canada said something stupid about Apple and legit has 40,000 people arguing in this. I'm serving ads like nobody's business. So you get credit for the clickbait, even if it was completely wrong. The other thing is, he's riling up basically people between the ages of, say, 12 and 20. And you know what? Let's be dead honest. Their brains aren't completely formed to make logical decisions yet. So there's a lot of, what is the word? Instantly siloing, right? If you go into a fight about Xbox and PlayStation, you're going to start some stuff. And some people never grow out of it. Like, even if they become adult and they're past it, they've developed their allegiance, right? Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever. So anytime you could make content around something like Apple v. Microsoft, where in the background they're working hand in hand doing what they need to do to make products, right? Or, Android versus iOS, when they're also doing some things together hand in hand in order to make sure that the mobile industry strives. But you make the kids believe it's a fight. They're going to get in their gang areas. They're going to fight. They're going to talk a lot of crap. And all it does is just blow up. So the Linuses of the world and a bunch of other people like him, he's not alone. For the people in the comments saying we're bashing Linus, I would tell them this stuff straight to his face. Number one, I'm bigger than him. Number two,
well, he also probably knows what he's doing.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
And he's
even got
decided
smart
to
and
go
built an Apple show. And he'll go on the Apple show himself and bash that. But he was smart enough to build an Apple show because he makes a ton of money off of that.
This is the problem: is it's all about making a ton of money.
I
don't blame people for trying to make money. And honestly, the reason AnandTech is going away, let's be honest, is it's losing money, right?
Yes.
If people were reading it like crazy, it would still be here. So I understand. I mean, we're in a capitalist society. You have to make a living, and you have to make a way to make it work. It makes me sad. There must be YouTube
Can I share
channels.
something?
Yes.
I'm going to share something.
Wes.
This is a little aside, so please bear with me. So you've heard of like what the Team Pixel debacle that happened?
Yeah, so Google, to be clear, Google hired a PR agency, which then offered Pixel phones, the Pixel 9, to YouTubers and others, influencers. Yes. But they had a contract that went along with the phone that says you got to feature this in and deprecate everything else. It's got to be all about Pixel, and you can't like anything else. And of course, that got out, and people were very upset. And Google said, "Look, these aren't reviewers; these are influencers.
Yes.
This is a PR company, and we're not going to do that anymore." But I think it's always happened.
And the root of that is the companies don't want these wild cards. They want to know what is. They want positive.
Why do you think
press,
they don't invite me to
it.
Apple events anymore?
Yes. And the thing is, people with integrity don't go, or they don't take it. The people who are like, pay me, I'll do it, are the people that then there's like the FTC where you have to disclose.
Yeah.
Which is true, unless you're not an American citizen. And if you're a Canadian, you're not bound by those laws. I'm not saying that
It's Canadians. Blame Canada.
But I'm saying if people I know personally some companies that specifically go to influencers or people who are in tech to write or give better reviews because they can pay them without them having to disclose that.
I don't think this is new, right? I mean, this is always been.
This is not new, but people don't know that. So that when there's saying that, well we would disclose it, or we would say they have to by U.S. law, but if they're not U.S. citizens, they don't have to say, I'm taking
That's the same in the camera space. Like in the YouTube camera space, some of the top camera guys, they all live just above the line where they don't have to say certain things. And so before the Team Pixel thing, there was the Lumix launch from Panasonic. And right before that was Insta360. And it's funny, but you are 100% correct. If you go through the list of the top camera guys, a lot of them live north of the demarcation line of follow the U.S. rules.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with somebody who wants to make a living or wants to become famous or wants to appear on Oprah. That's fine. That's your choice. I just think about users and consumers of information. I hope they understand the difference between an influencer and an actual journalist, that they follow journalists who have integrity and don't accept free stuff. And that, I think we need reliable reporting on these subjects. I guess that's the other thing. Maybe we don't anymore. Maybe technology has become so commonplace, so much a part of our lives. It's like a toaster. You don't really care if the toaster review website got a free toaster.
Yeah. I don't care.
Because it's just a toaster.
Well, see, and so that becomes also the problem, because what happens is you got guys. So a lot of this, how this started, and I totally remember it because I've been at this for a long time. Some of the very original like gear reviewers on YouTube were like myself and Soja. Like we predate the Marquez of the world. I left and went to Japan, and when I came back, Marquez went from being a kid in his basement to like one of the best guys in the planet, which I thought was crazy. I was like, wow, you stepped away too long. Now you got to play catch up. What happens is some of the
Nobody
guys
can catch up with Marquez Brownlee. I gave that up years ago. We tried to hire him. We tried to hire him when he was still in school. And he was a very sweet guy, really nice guy. He said, I'm going to try to make it on my own.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So back in the days of like, Patrick Norton and some of the OGs who were in this game with us, there were people who would come on and say, oh, well, the reason why they're able to do these reviews is because the brands are sending them these products. And then once that happens, people feeling victimized would then say, oh, this person is a shill for the product. And then that word became popular. Most people didn't even know what a real shill is, right? Or people would say, well, even okay, you have always been fair, but people would pick at you and be like, oh, the reason why Leo said something bad about it, but this time is because Apple wouldn't let him come to the event. You never really changed your position. If you didn't like it, you didn't like it. If you liked it, you liked it. You never played hate against Apple because they somehow blocked you from an event, which is probably one person that was mad about something.
I don't even care. It's mostly a joke at this point. I don't really care. And I always buy everything I review. I buy because I don't, mostly not out of some holier than thou thing, but just because I don't want to be bugged by PR people saying, where's our review? Why didn't you like that? Any of that stuff. I just buy it. And plus, it also gives you, I think, the real world experience. When you plunk down your own money for a product, you definitely have a slightly more skin in the game than if somebody sent it to you, right? And it's hard to do a review when you have something for 2 weeks. By the way, I think I have to give credit to let's see, Wizardling in our Club Twit Discord, who came up with the real reason AnandTech is no longer. This is the Venn diagram of AnandTech users and ad block users. And of course, it's an exact match.
Yes.
But that's something to remember. You know, a lot of people, I use ad block. We all use ad block. Probably everybody who watches this show uses ad block. But that's another reason why, you know.
And Pretty Fly for us, this guy said something which I mentioned on the show a couple weeks back. Long before YouTube, all of the stuff that we're talking about happened in the magazine world.
Oh,
right?
it sure did. It sure did.
You
remember the car,
like in Byte
car magazines and stereo
Oh,
magazines? You
God.
just never knew if that review was legit. And you kind of
Right.
knew that, right? You kind of knew that.
The HP printer would come out in Byte magazine or Computer Shopper right next to 3 full-page ads about HP products.
I will defend. I have some experience in this. I will defend Byte and the Ziff Davis publications, PC Magazine and Computer Shop. They really did try to separate church and state. I mean, there was definitely a wall between sales. In fact, I remember at Tech TV when we were owned by Ziff Davis, we were going to have a guy from MIT on named Bunny Wong who had hacked the original Xbox. Bunny had figured out a chip. This is really a cool hack. A daughter chip you could put on the Xbox. I can't remember why you would want to hack it. I guess to bypass DRM. I don't know. But Microsoft was furious and said, we will yank all our advertising if you put this guy on and do an interview and show this chip. And to their credit, the management at Ziff Davis, who ran the channel, said, don't worry about that. They'll come back, do the bit. Their lawyers got involved. Everybody got involved and said, no. Editorial integrity, do the interview. We did the interview. Microsoft came back. You know, it was an empty threat. But so companies do try to control the news cycle, but a good, reliable, authoritative, in the old days anyway, big enough magazine could ignore that. Little guys, this is the problem. If you're an individual YouTuber, it's a lot harder to say, oh, I'm going to lose all my ads. So that's the problem. You don't have this big edifice, this powerful edifice behind you protecting you, and maybe you don't even know and care about things like that. Hey, I'm going to get a free Tonka truck. I love Tonka trucks. There's nothing better than a Tonka truck.
But also, if they back up a truck of cash saying we'll give you 20 grand to give us a positive review, be like, okay,
who's going to say no to that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas when I worked,
it's dumb not to.
When I worked at ZD, Jim Latterback, who was our editorial director, and now he's at VidCon and is a big influencer and creator. In fact, went to the White House at the Creators Summit. But Jim at the time was our editorial director, and we had a strict policy that you can't accept stuff, you can't you can't even take a dinner from people. And he would, God bless him, he went all around the set at ZDTV and put tape over all the company logos so there'd be no implicit endorsement of Samsung or Zenith or whatever the hell kinds of TVs we were using. He really cared about this stuff. And I think that's kind of a journalistic tradition that is now, I think, history.
I had dinner with Jim back in April. We were in Vegas.
Great guy.
Super
Love Jim.
funny. You know, and so to your point, and I think this is the part that's hard. I will always feel a little bit irritated because when I left Apple, I went to go work at AOL at TUAW to write articles for TUAW. And one of the things I did was got rid of all my Apple stock at like 128.
That's another one. Yep.
Because as a quote unquote journalist, I'm not supposed to have Apple stock while I'm writing on, at that time, one of the biggest Apple blogs. I know a whole bunch of people that didn't do that. And soon after I got rid of everything at 128, it shot to like 700 and something. So, you know, like imagine what happens if I wanted to not be that guy. What if I wanted to try to control and manipulate? And you know, there's people that do it. So I don't know, like, the person, listen, and just for everybody who's defending Linus in the chat, it's his channel. He can do whatever the heck he wants. I'm gonna always think that he purposely fans flames and clickbaits because it works. And the minute it stops working, he'll stop doing it.
And again,
to do that, so that's
his
why
right.
I know it happens.
And I just hope the consumers understand the difference, and that there is somewhere like AnandTech in the world where they can go and get reliable, unbiased information, because that was really useful. By the way, in case you're curious, Marquez Brownlee will appear on an ABC special about AI. Oprah is going to be hosting this, and Sam Altman will be on it September 12th. It's called AI and the Future of Us. Sam Altman, who, of course, is the founder and CEO of OpenAI, maybe has a little bit of a conflict of interest on this. Anyway, will explain the fundamentals of AI. Bill Gates will be on. He'll talk about the changes AI may bring to education, healthcare, and other sectors. FBI Director Christopher Wray will be on to talk about what AI does for law enforcement and national security. And then YouTube creator and technologist Marquez Brownlee will showcase existing products with AI already embedded. It's going to be a dumb show.
He's going to be a Vanna White.
Wesley's face. I'm just enjoying watching Wesley's face, his reactions to that whole entire conversation.
But this is my problem: is that the vast majority of people, this is the information they're going to get about AI.
Yeah, it's
cringe.
Yeah,
it's super cringe.
AI and the future of us. And of course, the implication is, what is the future of humanity in a world where
the worst part is this is
AI
for a general audience, right? These are for normies, right?
It's for normies.
How are these people gonna play to that audience?
ABC prime time.
Yeah, it's just,
I used to do kind of what Marquez is doing. I used to do for Live with Regis and Kelly.
Oh God, I remember those.
Yeah,
I did that for years. And it's TV. It's dopey. It's not a way to learn about anything. It's TV. Take it from me. I've done a lot of it. It's all about pictures, keeping you glued to the TV. And it's not about, can you imagine AnandTech on TV?
Not only that, the audience is not going to know who the heck these people are.
Isn't that Tech TV?
Yeah.
That's kind of what Tech TV was, actually.
Oh, my God.
And Anand, I don't think we ever had him. No, we must have had Anand on Tech. We did. We had him on Tech TV.
Before Spectrum became Spectrum, it used to be Oceanic TV. And then we had two on the island, Oceanic and Macaw. I had a weird kind of like box that came with the TiVo or whatever that got me access to the OG Leo Laporte show. And I remember complaining to, at that time, Oceanic Cable, like, we need to get ZDTV. I forgot what that service was called that we used to get it in, but they never ended up making it out of the early phase.
Well,
but after having Tech TV, and even let's take it back to what is it, 321 Contact? Is that right? Mm-hmm. No, that's not it. Is that it?
I don't know.
What was the show before
that's
Tech
PBS.
TV you were on? Yeah,
PBS.
it was on TLC. You were on a TLC show. Now I can't remember what it was.
Me? No. I was on
with Soledad O'Brien.
Oh, the site. Yeah, I got the sign over here. The site.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That was
and I was like
MSNBC.
mad that my cable company, I would call them every day and be like, get ZDTV, get ZDTV, get ZDTV.
There are plenty of people who at the time said, oh, you're such a poser. You're a TV guy. You don't know anything about technology and blah, blah, blah. I'm used to that. That's fine. And you know what? We're saying the same thing about me that we were saying now about Linus. I have no problem with somebody pursuing their career in any way they want to. I just want people to have access to good content, reliable content with integrity, if they need such a thing. Maybe they don't need it.
Right. And when you have a strong opinion about something, all I'm saying is delineate it as this is my opinion. You do your own research. That's the only line that anybody needs to add. And you can be completely anti, because I will always say the Boston Celtics is the best basketball team in the freaking planet. And 2 years from now, when we're back at the bottom, I'm still going to say that in all delusion, but I will always point to the banners. Look at the banners, player. Look at the banners. That's
Forget the future of us. What's the future of the Knicks? That's what I want to know.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's just trash.
No, I don't care. I'm just kidding. That, my friends, is Doc Rock. He bleeds Irish green. Oh, look at that. I wouldn't have picked you for a Celtics fan for some reason. I don't know why.
Man, all the way since I was a wee lad,
you're a
as
little
they say.
kid. Yeah. I was a Red Sox fan. I grew up in Providence. And I guess I would have been a Celtics fan.
Also a hardcore Red Sox fan, but then I am related to Dennis.
There
Oil
you go.
can. Boy.
Dennis. Who?
Oil Can Boyd.
Oh, Dennis Oil Can Boyd. Oh, well, that's a fish of a different color.
Yes.
Thank you, Doc,
Actually,
for
we're the
being
same
here.
color.
Why is that horse purple? Also, Lou Maresca from This Week in Enterprise Tech. That's the world champion Celtics, by the way. Even though, Lou, you might... Well, you're in
Love
New
Celtics.
England, huh? You must be.
Yeah, I love Celtics since I was a kid as well.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Great to
General
have you
Tan.
and Wesley Faulkner. We don't know what team he's on. Are you a sport fan?
No, not really. I used to watch tennis religiously, but not anymore.
I watched a very exciting Formula One race this morning. Is that a sport? I guess it is.
Oh, yes, it
Incidentally,
is.
our 1,000th episode of TWiT is coming in 5 episodes. This is 995, and we've got Patrick Norton lined up, so that'll be fun. He was on the original episode. David Prager, Robert Heron, I'm working on, and Kevin Rose can't make it. But he'll, I'm sure, send us a little greeting. Benito, have we heard from Robert or David?
Not yet.
Dude,
Well,
love
we're gonna have to put the
Prager.
pressure
So
on.
Old school.
Yeah, well, they were on episode 1. Was Kevin Rose, Robert Heron, and Patrick Norton on episode 1. And so filling in, it'll be David Prager, who was also in many of the early episodes. That's coming up in 5. Count them, 5 episodes. Our show this week brought to you by NetSuite. The less your business, this is Business 101. Let me give you a little lesson in business. The less your business spends on operations, multiple systems, delivering your product or service, the more margin you have. And you know what that means? The more money you keep. So, I think you knew that, right? In order to reduce costs and headaches, smart businesses are graduating to NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, HR, all into one platform and one source of truth. With NetSuite, you reduce IT costs because NetSuite lives in the cloud with no hardware required, can be accessed anywhere. You cut the cost of maintaining multiple systems because you have one unified business management suite. And you improve efficiency by bringing all your major business processes into one platform, slashing manual tasks and errors. That's not a surprise. Over 37,000 companies have already made the move. So do the math. See how you'll profit with NetSuite. Now, by popular demand, NetSuite has extended its one-of-a-kind flexible financing program for just a few more weeks. So head to NetSuite, netsuite.com/TWIT. That's netsuite.com/twit. We thank them so much for supporting This Week in Tech. We thank you supporting us by going to netsuite.com/twit. On we go with the show. Actually, I kind of ran out of news. Let me see. let's find some more news. Oh, did you listen to Serial's podcast news? Big podcast news. You remember Adnan Syed, who was, they said, I think, falsely accused of the murder of his girlfriend. Apparently, the court listened, released him a few years ago. Now, Maryland's Supreme Court has upheld an appellate court's decision to reinstate his conviction. Not because of any new evidence, not because there was any reason to think that he did do it, but because the murder victim's family didn't get adequate notice about the hearing. So now they're going to do it all again. Now, Syed's free right now. He had spent 23 years in prison for the murder of his former high school girlfriend. And I think, I didn't listen to Serial, but I think those who did said it made a pretty strong case, compelling case, that he was unjustly convicted. And in fact, his conviction was overturned because apparently there was exculpatory evidence that somebody else might have committed the crime, and that evidence had not been offered to his defense and was not raised in court. So that's why he was released after new information about 2 possible alternative subjects. September 2022, he was released. He's still out of prison. Prosecutors decided to drop all cases against him. However, the brother of the victim said, "Hey, I only got 3 days notice. I couldn't come." And that violates a Maryland victims' right law. And so the courts had to say, well, we got to do this all over again.
That's bananas.
It's kind of
bananas.
But that's not his fault, though, right? That's
No, nothing he did wrong.
Yeah.
Did anybody listen to Serial? I didn't.
Yes.
Okay. Was it convincing? Did he get
100%?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
And
definitely
it's funny-
in the reasonable doubt space.
Right.
Right. And well, the thing about Serial for me and why I listened to it at the time, I think I started listening to it when it was about episode 3, because I all of a sudden heard all of my muggles talking about podcasts. And I'm like, they're like, oh, do you still do podcasts? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, well, there's this new podcast. It's really, really good. It's about a murder. I was like, nobody does podcasts about murder stuff. We only talk about tech or sports or comedy or news.
Yeah.
And so that was the first like podcast for normies, and I heard all kind of random people who I knew had nothing about podcasts other than the fact that they knew that I did them start listening to podcasts. So I was like, what is this? And once you start listening to it, you kind of got into it. And also I kind of grew up in the neighborhood, so I understood some of the stuff they were talking about. And yeah, it was just the reason why to me it's tech is because it really did launch this second phase of making podcasts. I hate to give them all the credit, but it kind of almost deserves all the credit for your mama listening to podcasts. Let's put it that way.
I think a lot of people, rightly, I think, consider podcasting became mainstream because of Serial. First podcast, I think, that got more than 1 million downloads per episode. It got a lot of attention. You might say the only bad thing that came out of it was the rise of the true crime podcast, which pretty much dominates now. That's almost all you.
But see, even those are as inundated as they are. They're everywhere. So many cases have been relooked at.
That's
and
true.
A whole bunch of innocent people got out of jail because people get railroaded. By ComStats, right, which is the conviction stats that police are always trying to win so the American look good. And ComStats cause legal people to do a whole bunch of dumb stuff and arrest people that don't deserve to be in jail. Yeah. So the Innocence Project and all of the true crime podcasts have either solved these crimes and found the murderers or whomever, whatever they did, and they've also released a bunch of people that didn't deserve to be in jail. So
yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's a good genre. I think comedy podcasts have lasted longer and are probably another reason podcasting is still big today. The tech podcasts, we dominated in the early days, but, I mean, that's, the early adopters were into tech and they had iPods and they knew how to figure out how to get their iPod connected to the computer so they could download a show and put it on their iPod so they could listen to it in their car. That was a special audience. That was way back when. Actually, it's timely because this, believe it or not, is the 20th anniversary. This month is the 20th anniversary of the birth of podcasting.
Wow.
I think, you could say there were earlier shows. Certainly, I offered my radio show for download on the internet. But what made podcasting was the idea of putting binary files in RSS feeds. Originally, when RSS was created, it was a way of following your favorite blogs, and every blog would have an RSS, a really simple syndication feed, and you would subscribe to it in something called an RSS reader. All of this sounds so old hat now, but your RSS reader would then let you know there's a new post from your favorite blogger. When Dave Weiner, I think it was Adam Curry, actually, former MTV VJ and now the host of a kind of crazy conspiracy podcast with my old friend John C. Dvorak called No Agenda. Curry said to Weiner, hey, we should have a way to not only have the RSS feed say there's a new article, but what if we could do it, there's a new audio file? Or we could, and Weiner said, okay. He did that. In fact, he did it in 2001. So
yeah, he played a Grateful Dead album.
That's right.
In 2001, but Curry made him revisit it because of an update that had happened with RSS.
That's right. So the first I became aware of podcasting, I would say the first podcasts were in September 2004. But
That's what I say.
that's when iPodder X, Ray Slakinski's early attempt to make a program dedicated specifically to downloading podcasts, was created. iPodder came out in September 2004. I got a phone call in late September 2004 from a kid named Matt Bischoff who said, "Hey, I know you can download your shows on the web, but what would you ever think about making a podcast?" And I said, "What's a podcast?" And he explained, "Oh, you just make an RSS feed." And then, so I did. So my first podcast was the Tech Guy Show, and that was in October 2004. So I think I will date back the beginning of podcasting for real, as at least the fall of 20 years ago, which is kind of amazing.
Pioneer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I went
20
down a
years.
rabbit hole, and season 1 of Serial was 2014. So it was
Well, that's the
10
thing. It was 10
ago.
years later that it became mainstream.
And then, but I thought it was like a pandemic thing where
Oh,
I was listening
yeah.
during the pandemic, and so I had to look it up. I was like, I thought I'd listened to it during like COVID, and
Yeah.
no, apparently my whole time is warped. I thought everyone was into podcasts back then, but yeah, it's been 10 years.
This is
It's
from
really
Wikipedia
crazy
writing
how
for the.
that just changed everything. Like it literally, it brought a whole bunch of people to it. And so when Serial was over, that's when people were like, "Well, what else can we listen to?"
Yeah.
and there was no
Yeah.
more of the true crime type of thing. But Serial also did one other major thing. It brought, not necessarily good, it brought the major networks into podcasting. Right. So about a year after Serial, you had Comedy Central starting a podcast network. You had iHeart starting a podcast network. You had all these
Now everybody's doing it. Yeah.
the pain in the butt guys made it into it. Let's put it that way.
So the first time podcasting was mentioned on a podcast was the Evil Genius Chronicles. Dave Slusher mentioned the word September 18th, 2004. So,
Yeah, he was trying to come up with a name for basically what you were doing prior, and even like Sean King guys were doing prior, which was these web shows
right.
that people were
Those
doing
have
on their
existed
website.
for many years before that.
Long time ago, yeah. Even I
Yeah.
was doing Shoutcast and Icecast back in the day.
Right.
And so he was like, what are we going to call these guys? Pirate radio. If it's not really a broadcast, and people are going to take these things and put them into these little pods, and then the iPod had just sort of come out. He goes, oh, maybe we'll call it podcast or whatever. And somebody was like, I like that. And that was the word that stuck. Because theoretically, podcasts, not theoretically, 100% podcasts existed long before the iPod, right? Because I remember my Creative Labs 300 Rio. Is that what it's called? Rio 300?
Yeah,
what
the
I used to
Diamond
copy
Rio. That was my first podcast
Diamond,
appliance, the Diamond Rio.
That was my
yeah.
first podcast appliance. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had
that's great.
Active Sync that would sync it up to my
Yes.
PDA back in the day.
yes. Put them on to Trio. I had a Trio at that time, a Handspring Trio. I used to put them on there and listen.
Compact
And
iPad.
the other thing I just thought about recently, when the Apple TV came out in 2009, the big flat, like cheesecake box size one, which basically Mac Mini size, I only bought that because the only video podcast I wanted to see at the time was Leo and Patrick Norton and Roger. And they were the only video podcasts at that time that were worth getting. And so you had just made Twit
I don't even remember. Was that 2000?
2009, because I still have that. And I bet you if I plugged it in and turned it on, it would be like
Probably still
Twit
be
and
playing.
Rev 3.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know what you call what we do anymore because of video and YouTube and all of that. It certainly has nothing to do with the iPod. In fact, I doubt anybody listens to podcasts on an iPod anymore. Doc Searles began keeping track. You remember Doc from Floss Weekly? He began keeping track of how many hits Google found for the word podcast. His first search was late September 2004. 24 results. On October 1st, 2004, there were 2,750. Just a few days later, the number continued to double every few days. I don't know. If you search for the word podcast on Google today, it's going to be millions, right? And there are probably more than 1 million podcasts currently in the world.
I'm on 2. personally. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I speak at Podcast Movement every year. The one that just happened in DC last week, I couldn't go to because I was in Japan living it up. But it's funny. I see people that have been there from the very beginning, and then I see all the brand new people who are bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. But
It is so
the
funny.
revolution
discover
happened
them.
this year when YouTube is now focusing on podcasts. And I've been saying this for about 3 years now, and it's finally starting to happen. And of course, everybody's like, well, they don't have RSS feed yet. I'm like, the modern world doesn't need RSS
They
feed
don't.
per se.
Nobody has RSS readers. What do you need?
Nobody
that for?
really knows what's going on. So, but YouTube now, basically having a podcast tab, it is going to be the game changer because
You think?
YouTube
And Spotify.
YouTube is the largest. Oh, the Spotify to YouTube disparity number is almost hilarious. YouTube is the largest streaming platform in the planet. If you combine Disney, Netflix, Hulu, the Hulu triumvirate, right? So which is ESPN and all of that, and you go down the line, they still outcast them by a long time.
So what do I?
And
So
the
I go to
reason for that is there a
YouTube.com
button.
and then click the podcast button. Is that their podcast feed?
Yeah.
Oh, look,
And then it
there we
works
are. There you
automatically.
are.
So, hey, hi, me. Any show, okay, like say you have something on your YouTube channel that you do, let's say Lou is talking about, how people can get into UI design. These are the best colleges, whatever. And he makes a series of, say, 12 videos about how to get into UI UX. You take that, make it a playlist.
Yeah.
Of that playlist, you check podcast, give it a 3,000 by 3,000 graphic and a description, and now it is a YouTube podcast.
I guess that's
it
what we're
will
doing.
automatically convert the audio side. And yeah, it's a game changer because 2.8 billion active users. Every TV sold in the planet for about the last 10 years has a YouTube button. There is no Pocket Cast button.
Wow.
Or Apple Podcast button.
I remember-
But every TV on the planet has a YouTube button.
So Ray Slakinski, who wrote that first podcasting program, iPodder, in 2004, I remember sitting next to him at Macworld in 2005, a year later, when Steve Jobs announced that it was going to add podcasting to iTunes. And talk about a guy who was Sherlocked in a minute. That was it. That was it for iPodder. It was gone, and Ray knew it, and his face just fell. And I think even then I said, boy, Apple adding podcasting is both the best thing and the worst thing that could happen to podcasting. It's nothing compared to YouTube adding podcasting. Talk about blurring the line. What is podcasting anymore? Is it a show that's on the internet, right?
Well, basically, because I have this conversation basically every day, the actual terminology somewhat doesn't matter because we started out with narrowcast, and then we went to widecast, and then we went to broadcast, and then we went to multicast,
Netcast.
and netcast. You love for the people. Sorry,
This is, by the way, why I wanted to call them netcasts, because they had nothing to do with the iPad. They were broadcasts on the internet. But nobody, there was no take up.
Correct. And so now if you just have a show that if you just have a show,
It's just a
that
show.
you put out,
That's all it
like
is.
in a manner where people can digest it seasonal or not, and it's on a sort of consistent basis, you can make it a podcast or a broadcast.
Yeah,
or
that's all
above.
it is.
So yeah.
Lou, there's your everybody's posting their first podcast tool. There's your compact pocket PC. I love that thing.
Dude, I love that.
I still have that
I
thing.
still got mine.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you press
still
the
got
button and it syncs up, and then you get
Came with a
your
foldable
podcast.
keyboard. It was awesome.
Yeah. iPack. I love the iPack.
The iPack.
The
All of
iPack.
all of you's got the iPack. Well, this must have been a kind of critical invention in the world. Was that Windows? it was running?
had a
Windows C?
Axion.
Yeah,
I had a
C,
Dell
yeah.
Axion though.
Similar. Yeah. Similar.
Probably the same.
C, Windows C on it. It had the little stylus. It was awesome.
There was. Didn't Compaq make one with Palm on it? Palm Pilot on
Yeah,
it?
it did.
Yeah.
Because I remember I played Bejeweled so much on it because it had a stylus, and I used the stylus. There were scratches on the glass, horizontal and vertical scratches from all the Bejeweled,
From all the swiping.
all the swiping. Here
Yeah, it
is
was really
Dissolve into
funny,
Pixels
Leo.
posted their creative Zen Micro. This was probably a very popular platform. That's
one
what
of the very first apps ever created by these two guys from Merrimack County, Massachusetts, Ken and Glenn Aspersley, was a Palm app. That they say, well, we need a name for the company, and they named it Ecamm. There was nothing camera involved in it at the time.
Oh my God,
Ecamm
you're
back
kidding.
in 1999. It's not. Everyone thinks it's new because of what we do now, but they started with a Palm app. Way.
Well, you know
way
what?
back
That's
in the
right.
day.
I remember that, and I used Ecamm to copy files off my iPhone as well. Right?
Yep, iPhone Explorer.
I never understood why it was called Ecamm. There was no camera. Now it's.
I think that
Now it makes sense.
They were doing the Google thing of just pick some random.
They knew where they were
random
headed.
words
That's
that-
why.
It's so
Here's
crazy.
Eat the Oligarchs Nomad. This was a Creative Labs podcast player, the Nomad.
I loaded my MP3s on mini discs. That's
Really? On the
I
Sony
evolved
mini
into that.
discs.
yeah.
I have my mini disc right here.
Wow.
Okay, so we're all the same age because I was a mini disc guy too.
My
You had a
player
mini disc?
recently died.
I feel like you
and-
would have
but
a mini disc.
I have a whole bunch of
What the
these
hell?
are my
I love my mini
tracks
discs.
from my days of making an album back when I wanted to be an elite rapper, and they're here.
need to find
and
mine.
my player just died, and I can't listen to none of
Oh,
this.
you got to get to know Pretty Fly for a sci-fi guy. He's got his Sony Walkman disc player, the NetMD mini disc
Dude, that's
player.
super funny. I've been like saving these. I'm like, oh, one of the
Sony
days.
kept this.
I like-
Sony kept that format alive for far longer than any should
I'm
ever.
surprised. I'm surprised how
We were
accessible
using
that
it
was
for
for you.
data storage.
Yeah.
You know, at one point there was SideQuest made a mini disc drive that you can actually store data with it on here.
P Hall still has his Diamond
Oh, look
Rio.
at you, Wes.
Oh, what's that? What is that you got, Wes?
There it is.
There's
yeah.
your mini disc player. Wow.
See, mine's in a box somewhere in the attic. Like you guys are, you got it right there.
Someday archaeologists are going to dig up all those
Yeah.
mini discs and say, "Gee, I wish we had a way to play them."
Like mini discs were in that critical period of time right before CD burners became big accessible.
Right.
Yeah.
How much could you? They were analog, right? Or were they digital? No, they were
Yeah,
analog.
but like
They were
it was time. It was like 60 minutes or 74 minutes.
60 minutes. Okay.
74 minutes is the majority of the ones that I have.
So,
So
did they
it's really-
precede
really 74
CDs, or
I
did they-
missed it.
And 80. But the thing is, you had to burn them real time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was
Record. You had to record.
What sucked. Yeah.
So it was like a tape, but it was like a CD.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
tape. It was.
But
a
I used a
magnetic-
digital out on my sound blaster
Yep.
in order to load it onto the digital into. my
And the
mini disc
reason why
recorder.
I liked mini disc better than anything else at the particular time, and because somebody posted one earlier, the old yellow Sony that stopped the CD from skipping. Like nothing sucked more than having your CD skip while you're trying to do something. And
The
so
Walkman was
I-
the early Walkman, which I remember spending a ridiculous amount of money for. Skipped like at the drop of a hat.
I mean the Discman.
Yep.
The Discman.
The Discman.
the Discman.
The Walkman
that's
is for
the word I was
cassettes.
looking for.
Oh, the Walkman was cassettes. That's right. The Discman. Yeah. Skipped like crazy. Here's a Diamond Rio. P. Hall still, or is it Fall? Still has it.
Most people like the mini disc because I saw some professional versions. They had 24-bit recording.
Yep.
So
I remember DJs who used mini discs who'd come with a big box of discs.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess.
Tommy,
yeah.
that's my deck that just died. Tommy posted a picture of the player, the Sony player like that. I had the
This is a
DAT
DAT
and mini disc
player.
on top
Digital-
of each other. Yes.
this is a digital
So there were twins. So I went from DAT, which we recorded on in the music studio, to copy to mini disc, and there was a twin set, and so the mini disc part of that set died.
Aw. Well, somebody's found
So I have to
one
go get my Zune or something now.
on eBay, just $299 for the Denon DN-M99 IR Professional MD mini disc player working. Doc,
Dude,
I
the
think I'd snap
watermelon
that up if I
Zune,
were you.
I remember that. I can't believe you just made me think of that. The watermelon Zune was a thing. It was like green and it had like kind of like pink accents. Oh my God.
We have just had a completely spontaneous trip down memory lane for no apparent. Oh, I know why. Because this is the 20th anniversary of podcasting. That's why. Before there was
Still
podcasting,
have, like
there was
Gumstick
mini
iPod
discs.
Shuffle.
It's the
looks like a
story
little
of us,
piece of gum.
my friends. The story of us. Let's take a little break. More to come with our great panels. Lou Maresca from formerly of This Week in Enterprise Tech, but he's still principal engineering manager at Microsoft.
Yes.
Also, great to have Wesley Faulkner. Wesley83.com. Are you looking for work, or do you have a job and just can't talk about it?
Well, right now I'm just surviving on my OnlyFans account. But,
Hey, I'll subscribe to that. That's cool.
but yeah, I'm currently on the market. So if you're looking to hire, yes.
How can people get a hold of you if they want to hire you?
Wesley83.com. There's a contact form that I just set up this morning. If you scroll all the way to the bottom on Wesley83.com.
I will vouch for this guy.
You can see that.
This guy is great in developer relations, in marketing, in just communication. I'm a huge fan of Wesley Faulkner. So hire him. Hire him. Does geography matter? Or will you travel?
No, because I only take remote jobs. So
yeah, nowadays I don't know why anybody would do anything less, right? Why go to an office anymore? Is it the end of the line for offices? None of our employees. Burke was asking me, "Hey, do you ever want me to come and see you?"
It's not logical.
I said no.
Like there's studies that are out there that saying like it's just a power grab where companies just want
to keep they want to watch you.
Yeah, but there are no studies saying that it makes you more effective. There was actually a spike during when most people went remote during COVID, and productivity went up. It went up so high, and they started hiring more people. And then they're saying, well, if productivity is this high, we can start firing people. And so then the layoffs happened because they didn't need to hire more people because the productivity of each individual person was pretty high. And then they're like, oh, now we want you to come into the office. And then people started leaving, and now things are just
a mess.
Thrown into chaos.
It's a mess.
We're in a place of flux, and so hopefully it'll settle in the next couple of years when people will figure out like we just want people to be effective.
Yeah.
There used to be a whole trend, and it was called ROWE, ROWE. It was Ryan Carson from Basecamp, whatever his 30-something signals, whatever that company
signals.
was called.
Yeah.
37 signals. And Adobe, a whole bunch of people, it was called ROWE, Results Only Work Environment. And that was the whole thing, that your employees are more productive if they didn't have to think about, what is my kid doing at school? Let me just leave the office and go, pick them up or get them where they need to be. And it was a whole trend. And then everybody kind of laughed it off. And then the pandemic put everybody in that environment.
That's why I wanted to go to the office, because I had kids at home and I wanted to get out of the house. Honestly, I couldn't wait to go to work. It was like, adults. How many kids do you have, Lou?
I have 5 kids, and they're trying to run past the door now so everyone can see them.
And I don't know what's going on at Wes's house, but I saw him just throw something at somebody.
There's a cat just meowing at me, just like staring at me and just meowing. I'm like, go away.
I have
many animals.
We actually had, so Lisa used to have her office next to me, and you could hear her on the shows. So she's moved away, so I now have a sound lock. But she says she's going to they make a cat bed that clamps to a desk. You know how you have those clamps like for a microphone stand that clamps to a desk, and then there's a cat bed right like at this level, at eye level. And she says she swears she's getting that. So I don't know. I might have a cat.
There's no way anyone, don't tell her I said this, there's no way anybody can share office with Lisa when she's on the phone and she's excited.
She's kind of loud. I felt really bad.
Even me, I'm loud, but Lisa, she would like drown me out.
She's enthusiastic. You know what? It's pure enthusiasm. She's got all
100%, dude. She's a ball of energy. Love her to death.
Exactly.
Don't tell her I said that though, because she might hit me.
No. But that's really what it is. And the problem is we couldn't have 2 people in the same area that were bundles of energy and joy. So we had one of them had to move, and I had already put all this stuff here. So
walk on keyboards too much. I could not have a nest for them to do a quick launch onto a keyboard.
Well, that's why you put her in the nest, and then I don't know. Maybe I just.
This is a cage. Is there a lid?
I need a cage, lid.
Yeah, they would never stay there. Yeah.
Then all you'd get is. All right, we're gonna work it out.
One quick thing.
Yes.
I shouldn't be saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm in negotiations to do the outline of writing a book about a new way of working.
You should
definitely do it.
And so
totally do that.
3 or 4 years when it's ready. I would
actually. You should do a YouTube series and forget 100%. The book. But
I will help you.
A YouTube
100%.
podcast.
YouTube podcast winner.
100%.
Just whatever you do, don't do benchmarks.
That
of
way you
chips.
write the book in real time as you make episodes about it.
I did that. So
When
my
we're done recording, I'll give you a quick peek of
first
the
book I
structure.
wrote, which was 95 or 90 something, I had a net cam on me, and it would take a picture every minute of me, and then I would add to the caption, page 173 down, page 174 down. It was the most painful. Have you ever written a book, Wesley?
No.
You're gonna love it.
No. It's painful. I'm right now. So I'm doing the legal paperwork too.
The best thing about writing a book is having written a book.
Yes. Exactly.
Then you can go on tour and talk about your book, and you get on NBC and stuff like that. Maybe the next time they do the story of us, it'll be Wesley Faulkner and the story
Maybe.
of us. Maybe.
Leo, you should write your next book and launch your book at the mall that I was at last week. It's called Laporte, Fukuoka, Japan.
Laporte is in.
Laport. It's the Mitsui conglomerate. They own this thing. It's
I
called
have a mall
Laporte,
named
Japan.
after me in Japan. I don't even.
Yeah, it's a
know why.
pretty dope mall, and they have a giant Gundam outside that animates. It's super sick.
Oppo Gundam
Our
stuff.
malls only have guns. Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Oh, jeez.
Dude, that is.
Dude, too soon. That's Doc Rock. YouTube.com/Doc Rock. Great panel
Se me va a
today.
hacer this.
Our show today brought to you by Fundrise. Do you know what Fundrise is? So let me talk about investing, okay? Venture capital is, if you've got the money, probably the most lucrative asset classes in the world, right? If you go look at the S&P 500, nearly every major tech company on that list was started and funded by venture capital firms, which then capitalized on their IPOs, their exits, their acquisitions, producing billions of dollars in the process. So how do you get in? Well, the hard truth is the biggest venture funds are almost entirely funded by institutional investors like endowments or sovereign wealth funds. If you don't have Saudi oil money behind you, or a guy who knows a guy, most of us, 99.9% of individual investors, never get to even see these pre-IPO companies. You can't get in at the beginning. You have to wait till it goes public. Even then, you probably can't buy stock day of, right? Unless you know a guy. So you're missing the entire, profit cycle of these companies before they become blue chips. Well, it's happening again. If you look at the biggest names in AI, for instance, almost all of them still private, still out of reach of your portfolio. But we've got a solution for that. The Fundrise, Fundrise Innovation Fund. It has more than $125 million in investment. It holds some of the most exciting pre-IPO tech companies in the world, and it's designed specifically so that you can invest in it, so that individual investors can get involved. You can get in before the IPO, before the exit, before the big money. Get in early at fundrise.com/twit. Of course, you should carefully consider the investment material before investing. You want to think about objectives, risks, charges, and expenses. That and other information can be found in the Innovations Fund prospectus. It's all at fundrise.com/innovation. This is a paid advertisement. I'm required to say that. But we are thrilled to have Fundrise as a new sponsor on This Week in Tech. On we go with the show.
Doge.
What?
That's a Doge.
Doge. Everybody, buy Doge. Get in early. Doge.
To the moon. To
the moon. Doge. The only thing good about a Doge is it had a was it a corgi or a Shiba Inu on it? Shiba Inu.
Shiba Inu.
Very cute dog.
Inu.
Shiba Inu. Inu.
Nihongo de wa inu wa dog desu. So Japanese Inu is
What
dog.
is it? What does it mean? Shiba Inu.
Inu is dog. Shiba is where it's from, the Shiba prefecture.
It means dog.
Yeah.
It's a dog from the Shiba prefecture.
Yeah.
That's the worst
Shiba
name. That's like if I were named Leo California. Okay. All right. I was all it's a good name, but if you know what it
That's
means.
a good name. That's a good name for
it
your
would be
OnlyFans
California
career.
Man.
California Man. Yeah, it wouldn't even be Leo. I'd just be California Man. And you'd be Hawaii Man, Doc. And
Hawaii
Wes,
no hito.
you'd be, I don't know where you're from. Where are you? Are you in St.
American man.
Louis? Where are
I'll
you?
just say American.
It's Southern Virginia.
Jersey.
I'm in Roanoke, Virginia.
Roanoke, that's
Dude, I
right.
used to deliver the newspaper in Roanoke, Virginia before you were born, probably.
Yeah, I saw that
But,
message. I was like,
Yeah,
what?
so we used to, from the Washington Star and Post, we would drive all of them in a gigantic, like UPS size truck to all of the tributaries around and deliver it to the mall somewhere where they would deliver it to all the people. So we would meet the mailmen of your neighborhood and give them all the bundles.
That's cool.
When I was a wee
My
lad.
brother-in-law, I live in such a rural area, formerly rural area, chicken capital of the world. My brother-in-law used to deliver newspapers on a horse
Good Lord.
or horseback.
That's super funny.
He said, "Yeah, when we bought our house, he says, oh yeah, I used to deliver newspapers out there on a horse." Tom Hanks warns followers, "Don't believe those ads you see with my likeness. These ads have been created without my consent fraudulently through AI. Do not be fooled." Has anybody been fooled? There are multiple ads promoting miracle cures and wonder drugs. I mean, this is not the first time this has happened. Is this going to be a bigger problem? Or are all the celebrities going to have to come on and say, this is what I endorse, this is what I don't endorse?
I saw Bruce Willis like a few years ago was a victim of this, of some ads with his likeness in it. Was it in Russian, I think, as well?
Oh, it was.
but
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah,
That's right.
But I think those
are television ads. Yeah.
Those are television ads. And the people who are reading this article about Tom Hanks are probably not the same people who are seeing whatever these scams are.
That's the problem,
unfortunately.
right?
So I don't think he's reaching the right people, but I think this is something we need to start talking about. I heard a podcast about talking about deepfakes and AI, how most of them, especially on the political front, how they're being used as things that like Swifties for Trump, where people aren't supposed to feel like that is supposed to be real. It's not supposed to fool people, but it's made to just to like make fun of other people.
It's like Dogecoin. It's a meme.
Yeah.
And it's also a call to the followers, to the in crowd.
Yes.
Wink, wink.
But it makes people comfortable though with creating this stuff and sending it out and laughing about it, like the Pope jacket and stuff like this.
Yeah, that's
But
for now. That's the point. That's for now. But in a year, you're not going to know what's real and what's not real. We were talking about this on This Week in Google because I took out the Pixel phone and did the reimagine thing, and I turned my kitty cat into a tiger. And it's very credible. It's very realistic. It looks real. I don't know how you know the difference.
But it's even the same thing with like with the posing of what is it, like with the pixels, they have like you take a picture and then you can get in there and you can actually superimpose someone else who wasn't in the original picture. You could do that with do you remember the time where not celebrities, but people with a political bent would take pictures with an opponent and they would be wearing a t-shirt that was offensive, and then taking pictures with them? And you could do that now where you have people sub in using AI, like Epstein and Trump or something. Like
as
something
bad as
that
this
didn't
election
happen.
might be, this is going to be the last election where you can believe anything.
Yeah.
Here's a picture of Samantha, the cat that's going to be sitting on my desk. And here's a picture of Samantha as a tiger. I think that's pretty cute. I would like that cat. By the way, the original picture, she had a big pole coming out of her neck, behind her, the fence post. So I was able to remove that, I think, completely invisibly. I guess if you knew where it was, you might look carefully at some of the rocks. And then I was able to modify it and make her a tiger.
Yeah.
All of that in the phone, in the Pixel phone.
I think the one that's been freaking people out is, I don't know if you've seen the Door Brothers videos, where they take all those celebrities and they go and stick them in uncertain situations. And those are super deep fakes, but they freak people out if you take them out of context.
DOR, the Door Brothers.
The Door Brothers, AI generated stuff.
The hard part is
it looks
those
like
of us
AI.
that can tell, it won't affect us, but there's so many people that can't tell. Like, we know what the signs are. We know what to look for. We know to check for shadows. We know to check for like lighting that wouldn't cast a particular way. But, there's other people that...
Isn't it weird? All the stuff that this looks like my dreams. These are what my dreams look like. Do anybody else notice that AI is like what your brain does when you're sleeping without any control? No? Maybe it's just me.
These are really good.
That's
If
pretty
they're
good.
flying, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I can show all of these, but anyway.
Probably not, yeah.
It reminds me when my kids were little, we would watch a television show and they would be like, "Oh my gosh." And I would say, "Oh, it's not real."
Right.
But then we watch a documentary and they're like, "Oh my gosh, is that
that's
real?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's real." And so I had
How do
the
you know,
knowledge
Dad?
to understand the framework of what
Right.
is real and what is not. And I think we need to re-educate everyone to understand that everything can be fake. And unless you did it yourself, unless you were willing to go pixel peeping and stuff like that, where it's like, before someone says do your own research, and before when you say do your own research, you would actually like take the vials out and actually do the own like experiments yourself, but no one does their own research. And so it's all about who you trust. And so trust as an exchange, as an economy, as a currency for making sure that you're getting things that know happen is going to be more and more valuable as we move forward.
The trust economy has been slowly deteriorating for a long time, even before we got to the sort of AI thing or even the tech thing. This is funny to me because I'm old enough to remember, but there was a point in time where you will get into an argument between the Camaro lovers and the Pontiac Firebird lovers, and they would have full fights about which one was better, while GM was standing in the back knowing the only difference between those two cars was the shell and the name tag. Every other bit of that car was the same screw for screw. So we have been pulling this kind of stuff for the longest time, and now it's at a level where we've allowed people to get lazy with, so like you say, doing their own research or vetting these things for themselves, right? We've allowed people to even take positions of power by fooling enough people to believe that they're going to do one particular thing and not the other thing, right? We've allowed people like Elon to just come in and snatch, which was, a halfway decent platform at one point. Now it's up to us. We really have to go back and re-educate. And so it's weird for all of us smart people who've always take the time to go study more and learn more and things like that. And it's not, smart people is not even the right way to say it. Just the people who were curious enough about something to dig deeper. Because now I know highly intelligent people who are being constantly fooled by stuff. And I was like, I have to look at them and like, I don't believe you would fall for that. Like, I see your master's degree on the wall and you're falling for this. And they go, "Why? That's not my, my area of concern or whatever." Well, now it has to be. Unfortunately, we have to have areas of concern even in places we aren't necessarily concerned.
Do you think Oprah is going to cover this on her special on ABC?
No.
I mean, that's kind of what we need is people like Oprah inoculating us against this. An inoculation is kind of how I think of it. By the way, the Door Brothers video, which you posted, Lou, has Anthony Fauci coming to your front door with an inoculation that maybe that's not the kind of inoculation I'm talking about. This is the one that was on the Door Brothers stuff that was on Twitter. Look what he's doing with the Pope.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah. It's obviously fake, though, right? I mean,
Yes.
I don't think this, but the point is, at this point, it's just funny or creepy or dreamlike and weird.
But the reason why it's more creepy, Leo, is although it's obviously fake to the majority of us, we are at a level of, there's a lot of people who are, let's just say, unstable in plain sight, who you never knew were unstable until they cross a line, right? And again, I hate to pick on the same person.
That's a good point.
Because we've seen elements of it at one point, but now we really see, your man E is a little bit unstable. Okay, we're starting to see some famous people, like when Yeezy went sideways. Like, we watched a whole bunch of people go from, okay, you're a little strange, to you're completely unstable, and we watched them progress, right? And in a way, for us specifically, I would say a lot of it probably has to do with like diet and medicine, and then just, way we've not paid attention to the education system where we live.
I actually think that mental illness is a real problem, and it's because it's hidden. When we see mental illness, like Yeezy is a good example. He's genuinely has mentally ill. I don't know if he's schizophrenic. I don't know what the diagnosis is, but it's clear he's mentally ill. It's unfortunate that it gets exploited, but on the other hand, it's probably better that you see it because it's honestly going on all the time. It's just we hide it because it's so embarrassing or uncomfortable.
I do want to say really quickly, though, because you brought up mental illness, that people who are mentally ill are most likely the victims of crime.
Oh, exactly right. Exactly
100%.
Right. They're not the ones that, exactly right. Much more likely to be a victim.
Yes. And
absolutely
being
true.
Convinced and thinking like going into a pizza parlor and saying, let the kids out. Those are those people who are just wanting to do good are probably one of the people who are most dangerous. Right. Not the people who are wanting to do violence, but they think that it tweaks that their motivation center of them being a good person, and then trying to fulfill that, trying to be Batman or something, could be a problem where it could be a problem for the rest of us.
I don't think AI would ever make somebody mentally ill. But on the other hand, if somebody is mentally ill, they could perhaps.
You said the main thing, though. People are learning how to manipulate people's emotion centers.
That's true.
And you're making people who are otherwise good people do crazy things because it's sparking their emotion system. Yeah. And so and Leo, to your point about YouTube, right? You have people who otherwise good people all of a sudden get a little bit of taste of fame, and then being told that their self-worth is based around the number that is attached to the end of their profile, and they start trying to, my favorite word, embiggen that profile. So they start doing more and more dangerous things, and then you got YouTubers putting themselves in harm's way, all for what we used to call S and Gs, S and giggles, but now it's for likes. Now it's for clicks and likes. And so you got people just doing really dangerous things and causing harm to themselves and others.
Is it worse than it was, or is it more visible than it was?
It's just visible.
It's more visible. I feel like, though, that social media especially has weaponized a certain kind of popularity and search for popularity and FOMO that might not have been so commonplace when it was, I read something in a book.
What it is emotion can take over in the vacuum of proper education. I'm going to say something, and I don't mean this in any political standpoint whatsoever, so people put your knives down now. I had the benefit of going to school in Japan. And I'm going to just give you one strange example about Japan that's so different from us, but it goes to show you what happens in a place where everyone's trying to grow together versus we're trying to hold back a certain sect of people. I can say this from experience because I am part of this certain sect, okay? In Japan, if your kid is misbehaved, you are forced to remove your kid from school, spend money to put him in the school where he can learn how to behave properly. In the U.S., you put your kid in the paid school to keep them away from the poor kids. Let's provide this kid a better opportunity, a better education, a better everything, books, meals, the whole 9 yards. So we're going to use the pay for school to separate the us from thems. In Japan, you only send your kid to private school because your kid's a schlong. Right? When your kid's acting up, right? So we've created from a long time ago, from being actually started from the royals, we ran away from the royals and came here and recreated the royals, but instead of blood, we did it based off of currency. And that set up the U.S. in a place of failure for a very, very long time. We also don't teach kids because we don't let them be together. In Japan, from the minute you're like 3, you are taking turns cleaning up for each other, and you
I
understand.
know. I was always impressed when I learned that Japanese school kids have to clean up the school. They don't have janitors. They clean up
There's
the school.
no janitors there.
Yeah.
But the reason why we had janitors there is because my kid is purebred, so they don't need to clean the grounds. Let's hire some people that look like me to clean the ground instead, because we're less than. So we created that mess.
So,
and then now we have no way to dig out of it because it's so deeply ingrained.
Do you think
that the people at the highest tell the people at the bottom that someone else is coming for you? They tell the people in the middle the reason why you can't become at the top is the people at the bottom are holding you back, and so they could just sit at the top, be protected.
do you think that the Japanese or other cultures are better protected against AI because of that?
No. They still have similar problems, but there's definitely more education. I tell you what, this will blow your mind. I don't know when's the last time you've been, but I go religiously. There is a bookstore on almost every other corner. Where we have a metric F ton of fast food restaurants, which they do, they also have a bookstore everywhere.
Yeah, but you could leave your purse on the table at McDonald's and go to the bathroom and no one will steal it.
No one will steal it. You know, these are facts.
Amazing.
So the culture of like seeing a bunch of
this is
people
the test
outside
of what
reading
of
a
your
book.
thesis. Are they as vulnerable to this AI and other manipulation as we are? And are they? Yes.
Yes and no, but in a different sense. They're not going to get attacked based off of their emotions because they'll do a better job of processing, is this real? They'll take the time to go, look, we won't even care. We'll just be like, Lou said it, so it must be factual. I don't need to investigate Lou. Lou's cool. Let me just listen to Lou. You know, like they will at least take the time to think it through and test it out, and then, you know, ask other people. It's really weird, you know, how it is, but there is definitely something to, like, I look at places like Finland and other places where they have really, really strong media literacy, right? Someone just said it, Matt just said it. I look at places where reading is still fundamental. We went through a phase in my day of the 80s where being an athlete, as I was, and a straight A student, I had to fight every day in both camps. I had to fight with my nerd camps to let me play the nerd group. They go, no, but you're a jock.
Yeah.
I'm a jock because I'm the fastest kid in the state, but I still got more computers than you, so I should be in the nerd club.
I can be both.
You know, and it was weird to be both, but the only reason why I was able to live in both is because I grew up a half-breed. So I started always on two sides of a fence that didn't like each other.
But what can we do about it now?
Make people understand that you have to, I don't care if you're an adult and you're not in school anymore, you have got to educate yourself. People need to go back to spending at least an hour a day educating themselves on something. And it is way too much fun to watch the Kardashians and watch all these other people do stuff instead of like find a way to educate yourself. Again, everybody we're talking to in the chat, we all take time to read up and learn, and you know, like all of us are, I hate the smart people term because that's not, I think that's also used to hold people back, but we take the time to educate ourselves about the things that we
Anybody
love.
could do it.
And anybody can do it, but I have so many friends that are like, yo, I'm out of school, I don't need to learn that anymore.
I have to say though, I know young people who think that they're doing research, but really they're just going out on the internet and reading crap. And
100%.
Yeah, so
true.
They are reading up on stuff. They're trying to learn. They have the urge to learn what's true and what's
It's critical
right.
thinking.
But
We've
they're surrounded by crap.
Critical
and so,
thinking.
Yeah, I don't know if there's I don't know if there's enough critical thinking in the world to cut through all this.
I have a question for you, Doc Rock.
Yes.
About I'm guessing the internal incentive structure might be different in Japan than it is here. For instance,
well, it's collective as opposed to individual. I think that's the biggest thing in America. We are an individualistic society. They are much more a collective society.
And we're lying about
like
what freedom is and what freedoms are.
If someone said, like here in the United States, you could be rich, but you have to screw over a whole bunch of people are like, okay, I can do that.
Sure, I can do that.
But like, for instance, are there MLMs in Japan?
Multi-level marketing? There must be.
No. It's really funny because yes and no. Okay, so I'm a prime example. This is going to sound super crazy. Just random I don't even know what they cost because I don't eat fast food. But let's just say a Big Mac is $8 in your town. What does a Big Mac cost at any airport in the U.S.? Almost double whatever it
that.
is at a regular
Absolutely.
price.
Yep.
In Japan, the fast food in the airport is the same price it is anywhere. At the baseball game, still the same price. They don't elevate it just because of the urgency of the event. That kind of stuff is
They don't
not
have
part of their
surge
culture.
pricing in Japan.
They don't do surge pricing. So although there are multi-level type things, it's about actually meeting people and enjoying spending time together and doing business, not trying to jack people out. And yes, let me point this out before anybody says I'm crazy. Japan is definitely not a utopia. They have their own set of problems.
No, you've got the you've got the salary
work
man
ethic,
who works 80 hours a
you.
week and gets drunk.
Yeah, that's a whole different. Companies, how they cheat, the people that do cheat, they exploit the salary people. Like, you do not go home until your job is done, and they have their own mental health issues, whatever. I'm not saying that, but I'm just using their when you're
nobody in the United States
person,
ever married a pillow. Well, maybe that my pillow guy did, but nobody else.
And yeah,
right?
we won't talk about that. Yeah, there's definitely some things there. So let's not get it
Well, so
twisted.
this is important. The reason this is important is because and we have listeners. 30% of our audience is outside the U.S. So even though we are somewhat U.S. centric, we have an audience all over the world. And I hear from them, and I love it. But I do think that a lot of what we think about in terms of the perils of social media and the perils of AI are very American centric. That I don't know if they're the same perils elsewhere. I think you're making that case,
different.
Doc, right?
They're different. That's what I'm saying. It is different, but I do know that when we were quote unquote top of the food chain, and everybody looked up to us, and to this point, as I traveled the world, a lot of people still look up to us. They were focused on the thing that is making them better is education. Okay, so let's focus on education. And everybody else spent time getting educated, and we spent time trying to stop certain people from getting educated. Whether that was women, whether that was people of color, whether that was the poor folks. We really somewhere in the 80s and 90s took this level of let's just start defunding schools, if you will. And the biggest one that we have right now, which is a big pain in the butt to me, I had it hard, so you need to have it hard too. No, like I think opening up education so that everybody can be college educated is brilliant. You know why? Because if there's less stupid people in the world, we have less of the really dumb accidents because there's nobody out here being stupid.
You don't think that some people are just stupid?
No, I don't think so.
You think everybody is really educable and I feel like there's some people just aren't that bright. Maybe I'm wrong.
I always thought that that's why I say it's unfair when people say, "Oh, well, you're just smart." No, I took the time to learn tech.
So anybody can be smart. Well, maybe what we call smart is just the desire to learn.
There you go. Or the willingness to be taught.
But not everybody has that.
Even after you're old and degreed and have a status, it's the willingness to be taught. Too many people of power get to a level where they no longer want to be taught, or they don't think that they're teachable.
Well, I like your utopia, Doc. I don't know if we'll ever achieve that. No. I still think, though, my question is, well, for instance, Lou, you put this story in the Wall Street Journal. China's AI engineers are secretly accessing the chips that the CHIPS Act bans them from accessing, specifically Nvidia chips. Nvidia makes chips for the Chinese market that are dumbed down, but they don't want those. They want the real deal.
Yeah.
Because they're developing AI. Should we be threatened by Chinese AI?
I think they're at a race. Like they are behind and they want to be in front.
Are they behind? Actually, they may not be behind.
Right. I mean, in some cases they're probably
ahead.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I would say
they're behind in chip manufacture for sure, because we have EUV and other technologies which we won't share with them.
Right.
But they've been using AI for social control for a lot longer than we have in the United States.
Right. Right. I think the biggest thing is because they don't have access to this. It's more of a commodity. Like they're trying everything they can to get ahead, and I think that's the thing that's really driving them. That's the type of society they live in, and so
will they be better prepared than we are for the advent of AI, deep fakes, and so forth?
I don't know if you can be.
Yeah,
I don't think there is prep for that.
Yeah, I think in some ways, kind of to disagree with you, Doc. Human nature is hard to change, and there are some ways that we are very gullible and easily fooled. And no amount of reading or education is going to change that. That's just human nature.
Yeah, I think that part of it has to do with wanting the individualism. At the same time, we do best when we are around others. And
yeah, I think some combination of collectivism and individualism might be. There's benefits to both, right?
There you go. Because that's the problem with Japan. The collectivism is so tight, you can't get everybody to agree on anything. Not because no one wants to step up and take the chance of being wrong. So that was funny. Hey,
that's
everybody,
what they've always said.
What time should we go to dinner? And
we can innovate.
Say,
our companies innovate because people are willing to say something dumb or do something dumb to the degree that they're not willing in Japan and other cultures.
Right. Yeah,
their AI is not going to tell you to put glue on pizza.
Never.
Yeah.
Or eat rocks.
Yeah,
but
right.
ours will. God bless it. USA. All right, let me take a little break. Last break of the show. And we will continue on with a fabulous show. Doc Rock, Lou MM, and Wesley Faulkner. Great to have all of you on the show today. Our show brought to you by our longtime sponsor, Melissa, the data quality experts. They've been doing it longer than we have, since 1985. Whether you need the full white glove service or just the basics, the nuts and bolts, Melissa is the best for your enterprise. Melissa now offers transparent pricing for all its services. You know exactly what you can pay, eliminate the guesswork, and estimate your business budget accurately. Join the 10,000 businesses worldwide that benefit from Melissa's industry-leading solutions. Clean data is critical to business operations, and Melissa makes it easy for you to cleanse and standardize your data within popular platforms you're already using. That helps you improve ROI, optimize business efficiency, elevate the customer experience. Melissa offers integrations and apps and platforms that you know and use. Spreadsheet editors like Microsoft 365 and Google Sheets. CRM like Dynamics 365, Esri, Stripe, Shopify, all the e-commerce platforms. And that's great because that's where the data starts and often is misentered, and bad data propagates throughout your whole system, whether it's your customer service reps or your customers themselves. You know, flipping two numbers in the zip code of the phone, suddenly you can't reach that customer. Improve address data quality to save money, to keep customers happy, to improve payment processing and deliverability with clean, standardized data. And you keep customer records accurate with out-of-the-box data cleansing tools. No wonder G2 continues to recognize Melissa as a leader in data quality and address verification. That's of summer 2024. Melissa's committed to the security and privacy, of course, of all the client data in their care through responsible use. They have a 38-year history of establishing and refining their controls to secure data. They're SOC 2 compliant, HIPAA high trust compliant, GDPR compliant. Here's the deal. Get started today with 1,000 records cleaned for free at melissa.com/twit. MELISSA. Melissa.com/twit. We thank Melissa so much for their longtime support of This Week in Tech. We thank all of our sponsors. We also thank our club members. We couldn't do it without you, our Club Twit members. You've responded to our call over the last couple of years. We knew we were going to have to cut costs because ad revenue was down, cut shows, and unfortunately even cut staff. But I think we've done a pretty good job of cutting corners without cutting the content. And now with your help, we can continue to do what we do. And I think it's very important. If you believe the same, if you listen to our shows and you'd like to join the club, we'd love to have you. twit.tv/clubtwit. We do some club content that's exclusive to the club, but it's my hope to make everything publicly available. And, join the club. Yeah, because you get access to the Discord and you get ad-free versions of all the shows, but also because you like what we do and you want to support it. I think of it as your vote. We'd like your vote to keep doing what we do here at Twit. twit.tv/clubtwit. Guys, stop passing notes. You guys are passing notes while I'm talking. It's so
totally ineffective.
I didn't hear it. Wesley has a sign that says, "Doc, we hear you typing."
Sorry.
Doc, did you see that sign?
It's the lovely Cherry MX switches.
Oh, you see, yeah. So I bought the mushiest keyboard I could find. This is a Logitech MX Anywhere keyboard because I can type and you don't know I'm typing. It's really mushy.
I have to get one of those.
Cherry.
I don't know. I can't type, so I need to feel the click. But I also came up with IBM Selectric, so there's that.
Isn't there's a new documentary out called In Search of Mavis Beacon. And I almost want to say,
Remember that?
give it up, you guys. You're not gonna be like In Search of Betty Crocker. Let me see if I can find this.
Mavis was made up, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she was. Maybe, I'm going to watch this documentary and learn otherwise. Seeking Mavis Beacon. 2 digital sleuths set out to find the woman who lent her image. Oh, so there is a real picture. That's true. I mean, she wasn't a famous typing teacher in elementary school. So many people in your generation, Doc, and younger, learned to type from Mavis Beacon. So this is, I guess, a podcast. They did the podcast Missing Richard Simmons. They found him and then he died. So that's no good. So I'm hoping Mavis is going to be okay after this. No, I think it's a movie. Seeking Mavis Beacon. Did you learn how to type with Mavis, or did you have a real teacher?
Well, the problem is I had the real teacher, but it was in 12th grade. At the same time, I discovered that
girls,
that and the really awesome 5-leaf plant. So I never went to that class. I was busy working on my first ever business, which required hanging out by the lockers in the back.
Man, why does a quick brown dog keep jumping over the cow, man?
Yeah, the lazy
going
fox.
on?
Yeah, so like I completely skipped, which was dumb because had I known I was gonna be such a computer nerd, I never ever would have skipped that class. Completely would not. But I think the thing that was unique to me, and this is again a weird perspective now. At the time, there was never a software box anywhere with black female on it.
Well, that's true. All you had
Or
was
male,
Aunt
for that
Jemima,
matter.
which is definitely not a
For
role
that
model.
matter.
Yeah.
Right? So at the time, I was when this got popular, I was working in a store called Software, etc. And I just like, wow, that's pretty a trip. That is such a thing. All right, cool. And so I bought it. And I swear I played it like 3 times. I was like, man, I can't type. Never mind. I'll just leave it to the fact that I can't type. I'm fantastic at music. I can rap my face off.
Get this. You can buy Mavis Beacon Teaches Typing on Steam.
Wow.
It is still out there. There's Mavis, who is not real, but this is still the way kids learn to type. And now they do it in Steam.
Is there a multiplayer option?
That would be cool. I wonder what the reviews are. There's only 7 user reviews. It's not exactly taking the world by storm. Yeah, it's $50. Do you know how to type, Wesley? Like real touch type?
No. I'm one of these.
Yeah, me too. How about you, Lou? You type for a living.
Typing tutor from 1989.
You did learn how to type.
Yeah.
So you're a touch typist.
Yes.
Wow. But Doc isn't because he found something with 5 leaves.
No.
Wesley isn't because
I know there's a such thing as home keys. That's about the extent of
Yeah, I
knowledge.
can put my fingers on the home, but then I have to look at the keyboard while I'm typing, so that's no good.
Yeah.
I don't use one of my fingers. When people look at me weird, I don't use my pinky. So I use all the other fingers, all 9 fingers, just not my pinky.
Well, it's funny that you should say that because I like Emacs. I use Emacs, and Emacs users are always complaining about Emacs pinky. I don't know why they're complaining about it. You just put your finger on the control key. There's no pinky involved. Who types with their pinky? Well, apparently Emacs users do anyway. I think that's all the news that fits the print. It was a light news week. We are going to get ready for an Apple event a week from tomorrow, and I will be out of circulation on vacation. So Micah Sargent will be covering that for us. 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern time on Monday for the Apple event. In fact, I don't know what I'm going to do because the iPhone comes out on the 20th. I won't be back to the 22nd. So I might be a little bit out.
You know, it's weird. I normally get iPhone every year on my birthday because I'm the 12th. And the order day will be the 13th, but when I ordered, it's still technically the 12th because Hawaii time. Yeah,
Hey, you have to get up really early in the morning, don't you? What time do you have to get up?
Normally 2 or 3, depending
AM.
on AM. Yeah, but last year I had to do my phone in Japan because I was in Japan for my birthday, and I ended up ordering it there and then picking it up when I got home. So I came home and the UPS guy showed up. So this year I did my Japan trip early so I wouldn't have that problem because it was trying to order a phone from the different
Do you get a new
countries.
phone every year?
Super stupid. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What kind of nerd do you think I am?
Who doesn't?
Like, what kind of nerd do you think I am?
I will know that I am finally retired when I don't buy the new iPhone, the new Pixel phone. I can't wait.
Yo,
Yeah, we
I
all
almost
have
wanted
our
to buy a
crosses to bear.
Pixel 9 because of Team Pixel.
Good point. That is kind of a first world problem, isn't it? Oh no, I have to buy the new iPhone again? It seems like it was just just a year ago. Wesley, what kind of phone do you use?
I have a Pixel 7.
Yeah.
So, and
That's
I don't
reasonable.
plan on upgrading until I absolutely need to.
No. How about you, Lou? You have the Windows phone?
I know. I wish I had a Windows phone. I really wish I did.
I
No,
do. I know.
I have two. I have I have a Windows, I have iPhone,
iOS and
a
Android.
S22. So
Yeah, the Samsungs are
Yeah.
the most popular, right, in the world. Yeah. I got the flip phone because I thought, I should get a bendy one. But I buy them, kids. They don't send them to me. I don't get any special treatment.
Is there any, because there was a lot going in the chat earlier today, is there any of the bendy phones right now which you would say is good? Or is
I
it
like
still,
let me see if I can
I
reach
just
it.
seems weird. Every time I see the screen with a little weird curve.
Do you mean good or do you mean better than a slab phone?
Yeah, I don't know
I
about
think it's
that.
good. I like this phone. Let me go get it.
Yeah. I don't know, to me, it's just really
Good is
it's just
relative.
a
Like,
weird
does it make
thing.
you more productive? Does it enhance the experience? Is good the bar? What would be the bar in terms
I
of
think
what would
being a
make it worth
fluffy
it?
fellow, the chub of it fatter in my pocket would bother me.
The chub.
You know what I mean? Because I got big thighs. Like, I was a track athlete and I played safety / running back. So my
this
thighs
phone's
are
up.
huge. When my phone is in my pocket and it like sticks out, that just seems weird to me. I
See,
don't
that's
like
what's
stick
cool
out
about
things in
this.
my
You could put
pocket.
this in your shirt pocket. It's
Yeah,
got a
it's cool.
screen on the top here like this, and it unfolds. I think it
Wear
unfolds
shirt
to a
pockets
pretty
still? I'm in
nice.
Hawaii.
I mean, cargo shorts were made for these types of phones.
Yeah.
I don't wear cargo. shorts.
I think that I didn't like the Fold or the Pixel Fold because those are too big. This is the Flip, so it's about the size of a pocket square. In fact, whoops, here it is. I took it out of the picture.
It's not that bad, Quippy. Come on. That's super funny. Oh my
Here, watch.
God.
See?
That's so
Watch.
funny.
What did Clippy say?
Oh my God. Look at the
See, it
thighs
goes right
of that
here.
guy.
Right in your pocket there, like that. Isn't that good?
Yeah. I guess.
It's fine. I don't know.
Does
you know
the
what
screen
is sad?
bother you at all?
No, you don't see the crease.
Okay.
You don't. The only thing that bothers me a little bit is that, see, there's the crease. You can see it if I angle it just right.
Right.
The only thing that bothers you is that it doesn't feel like glass. It feels it's almost a little rubbery, and because it has to be.
And so, the thing is, when you see them in the store, like if I go to Spectrum for whatever reason or stop into the AT&T store, that has been sitting there and manipulated by like 3,000 people. So the crease is
yuck.
always extremely evident. So
Yeah.
I've never really seen one where like a normal person, normal wear and tear.
The other thing that does, it's kind of cool. You might like this. You can use it as a camera sitting like an L, like a beach chair. So you can
that's
put it
cool.
like that and then look at it. And
I'm not a big fan of fish because one of the best compliments you can give fish is saying it doesn't taste like fish. And when I see these flip phones, I have the
true.
same feeling of like where it's like, oh, you can't tell it's a flip phone or
can't
like
tell.
like,
It's almost a
that's
phone.
That's the advantage. That doesn't feel like it's worth it to me.
and
personally.
from somebody in our YouTube chat, this is the open source typing tutor Clavaro Touch Typing Tutor, which is available for free. Runs on Unix, Linux. That's about it. And there is no lovely woman teaching you, but it will
Still in
teach you
tarball format.
Tarball. That's how funky this is. Download the Tarball and explode it, and you can learn how to type. If you already know how to do all that, you don't need to learn how to type. You're still in high demand. Lou he is a wonderful fella, principal managing editor, and I'm losing it at the end of the show. Principal engineering manager for Microsoft.
Yes.
Former host of TWiT. We really appreciate it. You said you were saying earlier you stay in touch with all the old TWiT guys.
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, Cheever sends me, texts pretty much every day about the stuff he's working on down there at the grounds.
So he didn't really retire. He just.
No, he became a board member of the Orlando Conference Center down there, and he helps them with their networks and all that stuff. So yeah, he loves it. He's having a good time.
Very nice. Well, it's great. Let's give them our regards. We miss them.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Oh, thank you to Chocolate Milk Mini Sip P Hall. Here is an online typing tutor, zty.pe, Z-type.
There you go.
So it's a game, and you can learn to type by shooting.
That's like the old stuff.
Invaders, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Spaces, former kid posts. Whoops, posts. That's kind of cool. That's kind of fun. Thank you, Lou, for being here. Thank you so much, Wesley Faulkner. Everybody go to Wesley83.com. Give this guy a job or join in as the developer relations forum gets underway, starts up. There's lots you can do at Wesley83.com, except learn how to type.
You can find me on the socials, mostly on Mastodon.
And your podcast, Radical Respect. How's that going?
Respect. It's going well. Gearing up we have another episode recording on Wednesday.
Nice.
Really enjoying the guests that we have lined up. I wish I could.
It's a secret.
Actually, so I saw in the rundown. I don't know if I'm sorry if this is breaching etiquette, but I think Amy Webb is supposed to be on TWiT.
Love Amy
next week.
Yeah, I'm so mad she's gonna be on when I'm gone.
Yeah, trying to have her to get her on, I guess, as a podcast. So that'd be great. But yeah, really, really, really happy about this. And we also submitted again for South by next year. So hopefully our panel gets the next votes. And so I'll be able to do that next year as well.
Based on the book by Kim Scott, Radical Respect.
Yes. Yep.
What gets in the way of collaborative, respectful work environments? Lack of respect. And look for Wes's new book about the future of work. That's exciting too. Yeah. That's exciting too.
I just locked down the name of it, and so I'm excited for.
Don't tell anybody though.
But I'm not saying it. Yeah, no.
Yeah. A book is like a baby. You don't tell anybody about it till you're in the second trimester. That's my rule. I just made that up.
That's so good.
Doc, thank you for laughing. Doc Rock. That's why he's on, because he laughs at my lousy jokes. YouTube.com/DocRock.
That was legit funny. That was legit funny.
He's also director of strategic partnerships at Ecamm, which made this show possible. Thank you, Ecamm.
Thank you. I was blown away by your team when they called me to ask me questions, and I was like, "Wait, you can do that?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know. We're gonna find out." And I'm like, "Well, I ain't gonna lie to you and say you can do it, but I think you can." And we went through the steps, and I was floored. So I think it's amazing. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really we got an amazing team with some real chops, and what they keep doing, I keep moving studios and changing the ground rules, and they keep coming up with great solutions like this attic studio. So I really appreciate it. Benito Gonzalez, our producer, technical director. Do you like working at home, Benito, or would you rather be coming into the TD in the studio?
It has its advantages, I'm fine with either.
Are you lonely? Do you miss us?
I mean, I miss hanging out. I miss
that's what I miss.
Around and hanging out and stuff like that.
That's what you got to solve, Wesley. You can get a lot of work done at home, but you got to. There's some social element missing. I
have a fix for it.
Oh, well, shh, don't tell.
It's all in the book.
It's all in the book. Good. We're thinking we just maybe have a regular monthly, potluck or something here. Have everybody come over. But they don't even, part of the problem is they're all over the country now. Everybody's distributed.
Yeah.
I miss you guys. Anyway, Benito, thank you. I appreciate it. It's nice to see you on the other end of the Zoom. Burke McQuinn, our new studio manager. Not that there's a studio to manage, but that's his job. While I'm gone, he's going to paint the medallion. We'll take your votes for colors, whatever you want to. But obviously, white is the wrong color because it looks like I have a halo, which is not really what we're going for on this. And of course, our executive producer, my dear wife, Lisa, who you couldn't hear could you hear her in the show today? No, because she's way the hell down the other end of the house. We moved her. Thank you all for being here. Thanks especially to our Club TWiT members who made this show possible. We do TWiT every Sunday, 2 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. That's 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. We stream it on 7 platforms. Count them. 7. Discord, youtube.com/twit/live, twitch.tv/twit. We're also on x.com, right on the front page usually, because who else is streaming on X? We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. That's 6. Oh, and Kick. Although, and we'd love your input, we're thinking about trading Kick in for Telegram. We can only do 7. So I think maybe Telegram might be better. I don't know. Now that Pavel Durov's in Dutch, we could do that. If you can't watch live, though, get an on-demand version of the show. It's available at the website, twit.tv. All our shows are. Or you can go to YouTube. Each show has its own channel on YouTube, but if you go to the main YouTube channel, you'll see them all. That's youtube.com/twit, as I mentioned. Or subscribe in your favorite podcast player. That way you'll get it automatically the minute it's available, so you have it for your Monday morning commute. And since nobody's commuting anymore, I think, honestly, that's going to be bad for podcasting, Wesley. You got to get people to listen to more podcasts while they're working from home. If you can solve that, that'd be very nice. I'd appreciate it.
Oh, easy. Use the podcast button on YouTube, on your TV.
There are a surprising number of people who actually watch the show on TV. I don't know. That's crazy talk. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Wesley.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lou. Thanks to all of you. We'll see you next time. Another TWiT. Oh, I won't see you next week. 2 weeks off. I'll see you on the 22nd. Another TWiT is in the can.
This
Bye-bye.
is amazing.